What up, Don't One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ashley Soden, and we're here to preview a little NFC North game against the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, it is the return of Stamford Bridge Part 2, nearly 1,000 years on from when the men of the Lions Land kicked the Vikings' asses back into the sea. We're going to do it again just for history's sake. Ash, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening?
Tired. People who are in our Discord know the past week I have been stuck at work on overnight shifts, rearranging the entire bloody shop. So I missed the highs and low, or shall we say, of Sunday's game. I caught a bit of it before, unfortunately, had to start rearranging red wine. Um, Missed that, and then have been asleep or rearranging stuff ever since, which is why, spoiler alert, there is no preview article for this week because I have just had not had time to write one. So you get all my creative juices into this, all my wafflings. But other than that, good. Just wish, FSU would have knelt it on every offensive play yesterday and won 7-6 rather than what happened.
Yes, I am also fairly tired this week. On Thursday, I stayed up till 4 in the morning watching Marshall versus Georgia State. And then yesterday, I was watching Florida State versus Duke. Yeah, it's college football season. I stay up till stupid o'clock every night of the week watching football. So, and there's like this Tuesday CUSA now, Wednesday CI. I can watch it all week. I'm just at home, but it gets to these evenings, I'm like, oh, starting to struggle. But yeah, and it's college football Saturday as well. So if I appear distracted through this, I've got Miami and Louisville on the big screen next to me. I'm watching the
Ooh.
number one pick in the 2025 draft sling the rock around for Miami. So we will be watching that as the evening goes on as well. But yeah, thanks to everyone who has joined this evening. As you might be aware, Matt is not around. He is still suffering with the COVID bug. It's had him knocked up really all week. So we've unfortunately been able to do a Cowboys review show. In 3 words, we annihilated them. That's probably all we really needed to say about that one. There wasn't anything worth talking about, so that's why the preview show is a little bit later this week. But you got me and Ash. We're going to go through it all with you this evening. We're going to do the matchup as always, and I'm going to try and be a partly inadequate replacement host for the adequate host. So yeah, let's just give a shout out to everyone who's in the building. See, Jeff Hurley's already there with the 9.99 super sticker. Thank you very much, Jeff. We really appreciate all your support there. Giovanni Lyons is in the building. Mike the Marine is in the building. Brent is in there as well. Hey, Brent, them Black Knights absolutely annihilating East Carolina. Bryson Daly may be the best quarterback dual threat in the country. I bet you're having a whale of a time today. Kirk Kasperick's in the building as well. Carlin's in there. Ash is in there as well. Bob O'Lan is in. Hope you're doing well, all of you. If there's anything you want to ask us during the evening, then please feel free. Going to be a bit of a different preview because Matt has this all structured and nicely done and organized. Me, I am all about disorganization and chaos. So we'll see where the evening is taken. And I'll get into Twitch in a minute and shout out everyone on Twitch as well. But yeah, hope you're all well on this Saturday. So let's just get all the housekeeping out of the way and then we'll get into some news and then we'll get into the Lions Vikings game preview. So Roar of the Lions UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We will fire you across a link for you to come and join. It's a lot of good fun at the moment, both college ball and NFL ball. If you like chatting, come join us there. The college football pod with me and Rye was done earlier in the week on Tuesday. So we're doing reviews of the weeks gone by and previews, all that good stuff. So if you've not checked it out already, please do so. And looks like we're going to have a good show next week going on some of the scores I've seen so far today. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff there. Don't forget we're a part of Lions Nation Unite as well, Herman Moore's pet project to bring together the best in Detroit Lions content creators on the web into one big community for you all. You'll see me on there. You see a lot of other guys doing content at the moment. Please help us drive that forward. Don't forget, we're affiliated on Twitch. We're monetized on YouTube. We've got a tip jar, so if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we just love having you all to chat with. And of course, we've got the feedback form as well. So if there's any feedback you've got about the show, if Ash's jokes get too bad or anything, just let us know and we'll rein him in on that one as best as we can. Um, But yeah, it's there. If you've got anything you want to let us know, we will always take it on board. Right, that is everything for the housekeeping. Why don't we talk some lines? Because we haven't done this week. So let's dive down into a bit of news. And well, Ash, seems one certain politician over in America wanted to go to war with the city of Detroit this week. One of Jerry Jones's good buddies, Chris Christie, used to be the former governor of New Jersey, and he's a big Jerry Jones kiss ass. Said to the Mad Dog Unleashed show on Sirius FM that Dan Campbell, he's got no class, he never has. This is in response to the Lions, let's just say, emptying the bag of tricks out on the Cowboys last week and humiliating them on their own patch. And I think it's safe to say he's riled up just about everybody in Detroit. Fans, players, guys themselves. I mean, what a moron, Ash. Like his mate can't run a football team yet. It's Dan's fault for taking the mick. Just probably he's gonna look back on this and go, maybe shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, didn't he learn from last week with a certain Saints practice squad receiver getting absolutely murdered by the city? It just happens. Like, if you're mad that we're running trick plays, get your best friend to get an offense that can actually, move the ball, because 9 points ain't going to do it, bud. 9 points ain't going to do it. And talking about class, well, there's a few jokes I can make there, maybe about, classy ladies in hotel rooms, but I won't stoop that low.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's just absolutely. This is just one of those things. Like, why are you doing it? Why bother? Dan is a bluff figure. If anything, though, it shows the camaraderie that's in the 3-1-3 at the moment. Everybody jumped on this guy's back and went after him the second he did. Dan is the epitome of a stand-up fellow, as we say over here. There is, if you're going to have a football team that's that bad that you're going to let just, don't let someone come into your house and treat you that way. Even when the Lions have been bad under Campbell, we have never been beaten like that before. And that is a culture problem. That is not an opposing head coach problem. Next time, Chris, maybe look at your mate instead of down there. But yeah, that was a bit of a thing we wanted to get out of the way just to let him know because, yeah, nobody goes after our Dan and gets away with it. Moving down into some Lions roster news and bits now. So starting with the IR. Two players gone on to IR this week, unfortunately, as we all know by now. Defensive end Aidan Hutchinson is on there with his tibia break, and also in a blow to the defensive line, Kyle Pico has gone on there as well. Aidan's news, it's very independent on the source you're hearing from, but those closest to him have told that the injury is literally the best case scenario possible. There is just bone break. There is no other issue around this injury, which might mean that he is, if the Lions are able to recover for a potential Super Bowl run, more so the Super Bowl itself than any of the games before. But there is a very faint outside chance that he might make it there. But I mean, it goes without saying, Ash, this is two big blows for the line because Pico hasn't been talked about much. I know I haven't done, but he's become an underrated part of that interior, which is so good against the run. And it's a shame to see these two go down.
It really is. Like with Pico, he won't be back unfortunately for the rest of the season. No, I think it was Dan reached out to him and said, like, thanks for your service this season. Just because I know people have come back from a pec tear before. I think TJ Watt did it a couple of years ago for the Steelers, where he tore his like week 1, week 2 was back for the end of the season. But unfortunately, Pico's a bit of a bigger dude, not to slight him, obviously being a nose tackle. And with the position he plays, you kind of need the pec. So him going down really hurts because, unfortunately, the guy who probably would have maybe replaced him like for like, Broderick Martin, just isn't ready yet to come off IR. So really down now at one tech. Like, it's down to DJ Reader and then Chris Smith off the practice squad, who people listen to the 20-minute in the huddle podcast. I suppose is the strongest guy on the team, can bench like 550 pounds, which is just madness. So hopefully he can come in and kind of take some of those like rundown snaps, but he just isn't going to be Cole Pico, who has the history of our defensive line coach, having played for him in Tennessee. The only downside to Pico was obviously he was one of two defensive tackles to have had 50 pass rushing snaps and not had a pressure. Of course, the other guy for that was on the other side of the line in Mazzy Smith, so bit of a matchup there. And then Vaden, yeah, I was listening to Matt and you guys, and you cover the game live, and when that happened, I stopped. I just couldn't work for like 5 minutes because I was just that worried. I could hear it, and I just stopped doing whatever I was doing. Like, glad it's the best case scenario, but if he is back for the Super Bowl week, is he going to be in the best shape? Probably not, because it's going to be it's going to be a good couple of months. Probably looking at a James Houston from last year in the playoffs kind of role where he takes maybe 10, 15 snaps on obvious passing downs, getting back up to speed that way, maybe as a decoy. But both yet together just really hurt, because you look at our defensive line coming into the start of the season, basically all the starters are gone, because Hutch is gone, Davenport's gone, Pico's gone. The only guy who's left who was a starter week one is, of course, Aline, who we'll come on to in a minute with some better news, obviously. But we're really hurting now. And if people weren't already looking at trade candidates, I know you are a big fan of a certain Cincinnati Bengal. We definitely should be now, because we need someone else there. As much as I love Josh Pascal, as much as I've got faith in Isaac Ukwu, Mitchell Agude, we don't know what we got there. We need some like stability on the defensive line, and we should be calling everyone. I know people want Max Crosby, Miles Garrett. I'm personally an advocate for Zarius Smith. We just need something else there, because we're really down to the bare bones now.
Well, as they always say, a good GM will check on everyone. At least they will just check a price. So you can, they will have gone that way. But yeah, it's unfortunate injury for two mainstays of our guys. You're right, that is crazy. We have lost like 3/4 of the start of our front four, which is mad. But opportunity knocks. And if perchance we do still reach the Super Bowl, you got to figure the D line will be good enough to manage without Hutch for a Super Bowl game. But who knows? Just having him back will be a massive boost. But yeah. Best of luck to them two in their recoveries, but two big injuries for us there. Shout out to Big Aries on Twitch, because I'm now on there. Hope you're doing well, Big Aries. You got out you want to ask us this evening, just let us know. Ash will be in there checking for me. I know Grandizer is in the building. Hope you're doing well, Grandizer. He goes, when Ash has the cap turned backwards, it's business. No time for tomfoolery. Absolutely. This is NFC North stuff. We are not here to be nice. I'm also watching the Miami Louisville game. So yeah, we've got good taste there. I'm a Cam Ward stan, so we're watching that. We don't have a content creator on with us this week because Matt's been ill. We didn't know when we were going to do the show, so we weren't able to schedule anyone. So you've got two completely unbiased takes on this game this week. Completely unbiased, and we will do our best to rep the Vikings there. Just a few other bits. So claims in response to this, we have claimed the defensive end Isaiah Thomas of the Cincinnati practice squad. He was a 2022 seventh round pick of the Cleveland Browns. He's 6'5", 266 pounds. Great length and girth, as Tom Wilkinson would say, for the edge. He has a 9.16 RAS. He has a 40-yard dash of 4.7, which is good for a guy his size. And, you know, as you mentioned, Ash, we're probably going to see more guys in there, but this is a start. We need to fill out the rotation as well as the starting group, and this is a start on that.
Yeah, the early unfortunate news of it is more for Davenport replacement, and he's a Hutch is more of your. Noah Kev said it a lot last week on the preview, but the can crusher, he's the kind of big run stuffing end at the other side who pulls the pressure towards the rush end. So maybe this means Pascal slides over to there. Having rewatched a game, that's what seemingly happened. He went to the rush end, and then we played Levi a lot more on the edge. But unfortunately, based on what Dan said in his press, I think it was yesterday, I don't expect him to take too many snaps tomorrow, if any. It's probably going to be a heavy rotation of Levi and Wingo in that role, and then obviously Pascal, and then potentially Ukwu. I keep checking my phone to see if the practice squad elevations have come out yet, because I'm anticipating, along with Mr. Eric Schlitt of the Pride of Detroit cast, that Ukwu will be elevated to the 53 permanently. Because we, as I said earlier, just need people there, because right now a practice squad claim and two DTs and a second round pick who hasn't really found his feet yet isn't going to cut it against a Minnesota team that they've got damn good tackles, let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Isaiah Thomas, don't know how we'll see him, but if anybody is going to thrive on a Detroit team, it is someone who was a pivotal part of the going to work Pistons. So, there we go. Sorry, I had to drop that joke in there. It's just, it's got to be done. We've already had one great Isaiah Thomas in Detroit. Maybe we can have two. Re-signings, and we mentioned that only one of the starting defensive line is left this year, and well, he went and earned himself a bag this week. Aleem, the Dream McNeil gets his dream contract extension, 4 years, worth 97 million total, with 55 million guaranteed, makes him one of the better paid defensive tackles in the NFL now. And I mean, I don't know whether we expected it to come this quickly. Every time we've sort of heard about Aleem stuff, it's like, oh, it's just started. There's nothing really happened yet. It didn't feel like they were at an advanced stage with it. And then we had it dropped on us during the week. And I mean, man, he's earned it. Like, he's gone from third round pick overall. He's taken his time to develop. And we said with nose tackles, they're not flashy, they're not sexy. They do a lot of the work you don't realize, and it's no mistake, actually. We've had one of the best run defenses in the league for the last 2 years as he's developed into one of those all-time guys, and a well-earned bag for the Dream.
Yeah, 100%. Like as you say, drafted as a one technique, moved to three technique to past season and a half. When we've brought in more nose tackle types, and it just exploded last season. We did that. I think it was the Giants game last year or the year before where he broke the PFF record for pressures from the interior. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of the Wolfpack for obvious reasons, but that's one
Rude.
Wolfpack. But that's one Wolfpack member I can get behind, and people who obviously watch our clips and that I've made a pokes a bit of fun at the extension and his great performance on Sunday, calling him greedy for stealing Dak's lunch money along with the extension. Like, how much money do you need to make yourself a recording studio, my guy? But yeah, 100% deserved. For a fourth highest paid defensive tackle now in the league based on AV and all that. I think third in guaranteed money. We've heard it's coming for a while. I think it was when we signed Decker's extension. We'd have said, oh yeah, Aleem's next. Obviously, they were lying to us because Monty was next, but we won't hold it against the regime. They always like to tell a few porcupines every now and again to keep the wool over our eyes. So hope he balls out because he's a mainstay now, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. And, it seems now he's got his big mate DJ Reader in there with him. Those two are going to be absolute menaces for a long time to come. You should say that just caps off a great year for the guys. Amon-Ra paid, Penne paid, Decker paid, Monty paid, Aleem paid. When they talk about building a core, I mean, we're personified about that really now, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and golf as well. And I've said it on our Discord. Does that draft class that had Amon-Ra, Penne, Aleem, potentially Levi now as well, does that go down with the 2017 New Orleans Saints draft class that's seen as the best ever? I think we're really rivaling it now. And even, I know the 7th round pick in that class hasn't exactly done the best, but he's still sticking around on our practice squad. And if we need him, he'll be called up and used. Like, just proves that Brad knows what he's doing.
So the Saints had what? Was it 5 big extensions off that class or 4? There was Ramchick, there was Camera, was it Lattimore?
Lattimore, yeah.
Who else was there? There was either
Well,
I think there was 4 or 5 big extensions. Was it Marcus Williams? Was it Marcus Williams? The other one might have been in that class.
And the other 2 are now Lions.
Oh, Anzalone.
Yeah.
And who else did we bring in from the Saints?
The other 2 are Lions, and the other one is someone we're going to mention in a minute.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, of course it is. Trey.
Trey. And then
Trey was in that class, wasn't he? My God, that was a sick class.
Exactly. So it was Lattimore and Ramchick in the first, Marcus Williams in the second, Camara, Anzalone, Trey Hendrickson in the third. And in the 6th, practice squad defensive lineman, Al-Qadim Mohammed.
Ah.
out of bloody Miami. Yeah.
Well, they didn't pay Hendrickson, so I'm not going to count that. They let him walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is on. We are on par with that. If Levi gets a bag, then certainly that's going to be four major extensions out of that class, and the whole class still knocking round at the minute. So you gotta do that. So the question now is, who's next?
Ooh.
Who's next? Who do you reckon is the? I mean, I think we're settled. I don't think we're going to see anything in season now. I think that's it for now. Iffy and Barnes are hurt at the minute, so I think you wait until the off season until their deals get done. But who's next if you're pontificating?
It has to be the next big guy coming up. It's got to be Hutch. Tie him down while we can, because if we put him in that 5th-year option and he continues the pace he was on now, well, even slightly below that, we could be talking an extra 5-10 million a year on top of his contract. So do what we did with Penne, extend him, have with the 5th-year option, and then extend him beyond that. Maybe him. I know I keep talking him up, and God, he's already equaled the record for end zone interceptions in a season, and we're at this point. But Kirby is also probably up there as well. And honestly, I would say Barnes.
So Kirby and Hutch and JMO all have 1 year left after this one, right? Do they all have 1 year?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, they do because Kirby's only on
Enter-
a 4 year deal and he's in year 3. So,
Mhm.
man, where's the money going to come from? This, oh,
Exactly. We're at that tough point now. We're a good organization. We
yeah.
have to start making these difficult decisions. Can we keep Barnes around, who is a really damn good Sam, but can we afford to extend him when we've got Hutch coming up, JMO potentially, Kirby, all these guys? We're going to have to start making the difficult decisions and playing the comp game,
You
and
know,
it's painful.
I'm hoping well, not hoping, but with Barnes and his injury, maybe there's the potential for a shorter deal there
Yeah,
whilst he gets healthy and then gets his bag. And
yeah.
certainly with Iffy, he's not going to be able to demand a big bag because he's been injured a lot. So I mean, maybe the depth guys were around, but probably going to have to start using some 5th-year options soon. But anywho, well done, Ali McNeil. Completely deserved deal, and let's go watch him wreck stuff up. And he's got a very favourable matchup this week. Spoiler. So yeah, and then let's go on just to the last bit. So obviously we talk trade rumors here in the wake of Aiden's injury. There's reports continuing to come out about potential trade opportunities to bring in pass rushers. So everybody really from you got Hassan Reddick. I think they have been in touch about that, but again, he's probably contacted about everyone. You've got Carl Granderson at the Saints currently. You got Harold Landry, obviously knows the D-line coach from Tennessee Titans. Zadarius Smith at the Browns. Trey Hendrickson at the Bengals. Hell, even just throw Myles Garrett in there from the Browns. Just about everyone. It seems they're really doing their due diligence here. I think the question maybe is not so much are they going to get one? The question is what range are they going to shop in? And obviously that presents a lot of, so Granderson's on what, a 4 year, $52 million deal. You're going for guys like Hendrickson, you're talking about first round, second round picks, or then you're talking about guys like Harold Landry, Hassan Reddick, you might be able to get in and rent them almost for a gap there. I mean, hat on. Where do you think they're going to go possibly? Because what we're less than 3 weeks away from the deadline now, so these decisions are going to come thick and fast, and the decision will need to be made soon.
I'm personally on the Zadarius Smith train. It obviously helps that he was asked about it a couple of days ago. And he's like, yeah, if I go to the Lions, well, I've got 2 games against, well, one game against the Vikings, now 1 game against the Vikings, 2 games against the Packers. He's got that kind of revenge mindset, and he won't be that expensive. Obviously, being a slightly older guy, being an edge 2, is that kind of perfect range where he's a good enough starter, you can trust him, but it's also not going to cost you too much in terms of draft capital and money in the future. He's already on that deal. I think he's got season and a half left on it, but there's an out at the end of this season, so it could be a 1 year rental. So he's that kind of thing. I'm not expecting us to go and draft for Max Crosby, Garrett, potentially Hendrickson, those kind of expensive ones. Reddick, I'm not touching with a 10-foot barge pole, partly because of the I don't want to say the culture fit, because I know obviously you've got to sacrifice that sometimes, but the Jets just won't do it because it'll cost them more to trade him to us because of that stupid condition in the deal with the Eagles, where if you trade him to an FC team, it costs them more. So they're just going to refuse. And Granderson, maybe, but again, he's got that. As you say, he's recently signed a deal, so will they part with him? Especially since they start the season so well, they might think they can get back to that. Stupidly, of course, because they just resigned themselves to being the 2016 Lions, where they just go consistently go 9-7, not good enough, and they'll drive themselves into the ground. But it is what it is. We know the Browns are selling. They obviously traded Amari Cooper to the Bills. An hour after that, Bills fans set up the account tweeting every day till the Bills trade for Amari Cooper. An hour later, they trade for him. It's the perfect combination of all the factors.
Yeah, it feels like they have a type and they like a connection with these guys. So you're thinking Harold Landry, you're thinking Carl Granderson, maybe. I don't know what his contract sitch is like because the Saints restructure so many guys. It's like it's impossible for them to trade because they just lose so much cap. So you can't really doing it in season's a bit difficult for their guys. I don't know whether he's been done that way, but it feels like someone like Granderson, who they know from a previous place, or as I say, Landry. But certainly, I think someone's coming, unless Pascal and Houston. Pascal and Houston will be given maybe till the deadline. They've got two games now to show that they can be part here and that maybe we don't need to be so excessive on what we're buying in, but they've got to make an impact sooner rather than later. I don't know about everyone in the chat. What do you think? Who should we go for? Let us know your thoughts. Bobo Land just has the best when he goes, based on my watching what Holmes has been doing for the last few years, I ain't got no clue what he's going to do. Yeah. Nobody knows what Brad's going to do because Brad is Brad. There is no other like him. And oh my God, is that a Louisville touchdown? Oh, yes, it is. Oh, to the house. That is a kick return, my lord. Come on, Miami. We can't have the 100-yard touchdown return from Colin Lacey. What a guy. Anyhow, I was distracted. Yeah, let's move on. Then the other bit of news to mention before we go there, in respect to Minnesota, they've already been in the trade market this week, and they're bringing back a familiar face to them. It feels like they trade for him every year. Cam Akers is coming back from Houston for conditional 6th and 7th round picks in 2026. I'm assuming there's swaps or something involved in there with him. I think it's him and a 7th for a 6th. But Cam's back in town. Obviously, Aaron Jones is carrying a knock for them at the minute, and probably to be expected for them because they're on a hot start. They need to keep going. They've got to keep buying into this thing, and we're going to face Cam Akers potentially once more.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't. You completely hitting the nail on the head with saying he's considered excess. He was there last year. He was there with them training camp. They trade him to the Texans, and now they get him back. But the thing is, how good can he be? Coming off, I know he obviously tore his ACL a couple of years ago. Hasn't been the same since. I just about remember him at his college team where he was pretty damn good and fast. Not exactly Dalvin Cook level, but was good enough. Just shows their faith in their other guys because obviously Jones, questionable. Ty Chandler, they don't seem to trust. But so it seems it's going to be a lot of Cam Akers and CJ Ham tomorrow, which ain't the worst. Like we'll probably go up against much fiercer rushing attacks, but at the same time, we all know Minnesota for some reason, whenever they play the RB2 against us, just seems to go off. God, the amount of times we got burnt by Alexander Mattison because Cook was hurt. Just a 1,000-yard stare if that happens again tomorrow. I'm just going to be staring into my cameras like, for God's sake.
Yeah. Just quickly going back to the Edge thing, Big Aries has won this year. He goes, I've heard the Lions are actually working on cloning one Robert Pourchaire, so no need to trade. It's as practical as most ideas people have thrown out for the end. Yeah, screw it. Well, let's just clone a franchise legend and get him back in there. Robert Pourchaire on this team. Let's get Trey Flowers back while we're at it as well. Sorry, Matt, you are catching strays on this one. So he's sat at home stuffing his face with Detroit style pizza, so he's doing all right for himself. Yeah, he told me that just before I came on air, and I've not had my tea yet. Thought that was rude, so Thought, yeah, well, I'm going to get some shots in at you today. I'm going to make a long snapper joke at some point as well. Quirky Zerky goes, this is why trading firsts for someone like Crosby pays off. We have studs where we need them, so it's time to trade picks and fill out the roster. Yeah, potentially, you never know. You do reach that stage sometimes where F them picks is when you've got your young base. Absolutely, you can maybe be a little bit more frivolous because you do have a base going forward. Ken Stouder goes, I would like a Granderson on a bigger money deal, but expect us to find someone less than what we're already looking for. Lisa agrees with Ash. She goes, I like Za'Darius Smith as well, mostly because it wouldn't cost too much and he is a capable edge. Giovanni Leons goes, Crosby in a third round for 3 first-round picks. Woo, that is a hot take there indeed. This is, there's no answer to this. Everyone's thinking about money. Everyone's thinking about the rebuild, long-term, short-term. There are so many possible answers to this question. Only Brad knows what he's going to do. Right, let us move on to the game itself, because we are here to talk Lions at Vikings. And Ash, I think it's fair to say that at the start of this season, when we previewed what was going to be, our first NFC North game, we're like, right, we've had to wait some time. We're 4-1 at this point. 4-1. Oh my God, I'm losing track of what are we at? 4-1 or 5? We're 4-1. We're rolling into Minnesota 4-1 after the bye. Didn't think it would be Minnesota sitting top of the NFC North at that point there. I think it's fair to say we were not disrespectful, but we had our views about this team, and I'm pretty sure I said they were going to finish dead last. I'm not going to speak on behalf of anyone else, but I'm pretty sure they weren't top of anyone's thing there. But we are going to roll in to a 5-0 Vikings team, wins at the New York Giants versus San Francisco versus Houston at Green Bay, and then versus the New York Jets, and then they're just about to come off a bye, and the Lions are going to roll into this one as 1.5-point underdogs on the road, despite sporting a 4-1 record. And very first thing to say about this, I don't think either of us saw this coming when we were going to be doing our preview in week 6.
Yep, definitely not. Who would have thought it? Hey, Sam Darnold could actually play QB well for more than 2 games in a season. And the scary thing is, for some reason, he always seems to play well against us. Just flashback to his first ever NFL starter. You've just seen the Miami thing, ain't you?
Brandeis is trying to upset me. Hang on, how did they get the ball back? They
forced a fumble about in the 25-yard line. 1st and 10, Cam Ward passes it for 1 yard. The receiver fumbles.
It's fine. Cam Ward's going to save them. Continue.
But yeah, I knew that their defense would be this good. I knew it. I said, as much they've got their guys in. People who listen to the POD cast know how much I love Andrew Van Ginkel. People who listen to our free agency live episode know how much I love Andrew Van Ginkel. Big part of that, getting Grenard in to replace Hunter, kept their edge room going. And even though their leader in sacks right now is a backup in Pat Jones, they brought their guys in. Flores has just done his magic with that team. The scheme, that's one of the big matchups is him versus Ben Johnson, because you've got to argue about the best offensive coordinator going against the best defensive coordinator in the league. And then Sam Darnold, while not being the best QB in the world, has kept that, has kept the team going, chugging along, even without a run game. I know they've had Aaron Jones had a couple of good games, but this is basically what we faced last week, just with a wide receiver 2 on the team who should not be there at all.
No, absolutely not. I mean, these are the teams you've got to be very careful against. Sam Darnold is quintessentially what Jared Goff was 3 years ago. And this Vikings team has been listening all off season to everyone say they're finishing fourth in the NFC North and they're going to be the afterthought with Caleb Williams around, with Jordan Love around, with us being great. They're the forgotten child, and all of a sudden they're not. They've got a chip on the shoulder and they've got a point to prove, and this is going to be a very tough game. So, as I say, the betting for this, Detroit is 21 to 20, that is plus 105. Minnesota favored at 4 to 5, which is minus 125. The line is 1.5 to Minnesota as home favorites. So take that out of the equation. They're basically saying even-tied game at this point, and they can't really call it. The over-under is at 50.5, which seems fair. Fair. I think that's a good over-under for this. Terms of the injury reports that have been done out so far. So for Minnesota, they will be without linebacker Blake Cashman. He's got turf toe. The turf toe monster got him. He is out. The cornerback, Caleb Evans, is out as well. And then they've got 3 designations for questionable. That is the tight end TJ Hawkinson, although it doesn't sound like he's going to play in this one because he's his window's open to be reinstated, but they have not activated it yet. Offensive lineman Dalton Reisner and the running back Aaron Jones. And the outside linebacker Pat Jones the second as well. So they've got 4 questionable, 2 definitely out for the Lions. Have we had an updated one from yesterday? Do you have the updated Lions one for this game?
Yeah, I think there's no the only person who's out is Mahogany. And then,
but his window's not opened yet, so
his window, his practice window's open, but he's
open, but he's not
more
been.
Week. Yes, 1 more week, and then just go look. I did post it somewhere yesterday. There we go. And then questionable is Carlton Davis with the quad injury and Zeitler with the groin injury that popped up during Thursday's practice. But the bad news there is obviously that it was a limited practice on Thursday, none on Friday, so that questionable is actually questionable. Probably side of caution and say he's not coming. But everyone else, a Branch with a knee, Ragnar with his veteran rest, and Skipper with the rib injury, all for good to go. Got 4 practices Thursday, Friday, so should be relatively healthy going into this game.
So in the grand scheme of things, really, 2 fairly healthy teams. Obviously, the Vikings are rested up and ready to go off their bye. We've only had 1 game since our bye, so 2 squads that are relatively fresh. In terms of IR for the Vikings already, so obviously quarterback JJ McCarthy, drafted from Michigan this year. He is down for the year. Dalton Reisner, as we mentioned, he's been out injured. His window is open like Hawkinson's, but they have not chosen to activate it so far. Cornerback Mekhi Blackman is on IR, and then TJ's still on PUP. And Matt's written a note here that this is worth about 67 million in dead cap to them. That is what is out on their IR currently, which is just crazy. In terms of their PFF stats, so they are 79.5 overall, which is 10th best in the NFL. They're 75.9 on offense, which is 8th. They're 71.2 on defense, which is 9th. So they're top 10 unit in both respectacles at the moment. In terms of DVOA, overall, they're first. The offense is 18th. The defense is first. The special teams is 9th. And then EPA, overall, they're second. Offensively, they're 17th. Defensive, they're first. My God, I don't understand half of these things he puts in here, but we do them out anywho. So let's talk about the offense first, and I'll break this down a little bit differently than he does. So we'll go through the position. So obviously, this all starts, Ash, with quarterback Sam Darnold. On the season, he is 87 of 137 for 63.5% completion. He's got 1,111 passing yards with 11 touchdowns. Oh my God, all the ones, and 4 interceptions. His passer rating is 103.4 on the year. Is that a QBR of 58.2? Yep. That seems low. And then his PFF grade is 64.9. So this entire Vikings renaissance we've seen this year is based on the guy that no one expected to, as we mentioned. Sam Darnold is essentially what Jared Goff was to us 3 years ago, in that everyone's kind of forgotten about him. No one views him as a starter no more. Everyone thinks he's past his sell-by date. But on a team that has been forgotten about, with a quarterback that has been forgotten about, Sam Darnold is, like Jared Goff, taking it under his wing and giving it one hell of a shot. And he has looked really good so far this year, given that he's not played for a while in terms of a starter. It all starts with him.
Yeah, well, you can pretty much hit the nail on the head there. The only thing that Darnold has up over Goff really is that he actually has receivers to throw to. Because
Yeah.
God, you look at that week one game against the 49ers, and you
Oh,
look at the
don't.
receivers we were starting, and what the receiver we then had to play because what the star number one wide receiver Torrey Williams decided to get a career-ending concussion halfway through the game. Darnold, like I know, obviously Matt, when they first signed him, liked it because Darnold's got enough there. He's obviously had all the tools to be drafted in the first round by the Jets. Was good enough to beat us in week one of that season, despite, his first ever throw being a pick six to Quandre Diggs. I miss those times. He's got enough there. He just needs the right kind of coach bringing out, and O'Connell is that. Of course, there's another connection because who was the OC at the Rams for the last couple of years with Goff was there? Kevin O'Connell. So he's playing in that same kind of system, and it's working well enough that he's got Jefferson to throw the ball to. We'll eventually have Hawkinson. He's got Addison to throw the ball to. Jones and Akers and Ty Chandler can all catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got enough there to keep going in a scheme that will help him, and then defense he can fall back on when shit starts to hit the fan. But yeah, everyone wrote it. Even I did. Like, I would have thought, oh yeah, probably start up until now, up until the bye, and then after the bye, in come JJ McCarthy and blow everyone away. And unfortunately, that won't happen because obviously McCarthy's on IR for the season. But yeah, Darnold's done well enough that maybe you can kind of keep. I don't know, if McCarthy's 100% entering the offseason, you maybe bring back Donald, do it again to the bye, and then hand the keys over to McCarthy, because I know you're seeing some QBs looking great in their rookie seasons, cough, cough, Jaden Daniels, but then you've got some that aren't looking as well, cough, cough, my guy Drake May. Has Miami just scored?
Yes, they have. You know it. Cam Ward is clutch. I'm sorry, but the Hurricanes are a feel-good story this year, and you're just going to have to like it.
No, I can like Cam Ward. I can hate on the Miami Hurricanes all I want. I'm reading a series of football romances right now, and every single time I see Miami mentioned, I just highlight it and say "fuck Miami" and carry on reading.
Hey, we've got Grandizer in the building as a Dolphins fan. We've got to be nice to Grandizer here.
Hey, Tua's going to start practicing next week.
So Donald's not that old, right? I mean, there's every possibility he could Trey Lance JJ McCarthy at this point if he carries on the way he's doing. They're not going to give him the keys for a year and get him to the playoffs.
I'm just checking, but I do believe
he's about 28, 29.
He's 27.
27?
He's younger than Joe Burrow.
Wow, really? Wow.
Yeah, so Burrow is 10th of December 1996. Darnold is 5th of June 1997.
Wow. There is every chance he could Trey Lance this guy. But again, we need to be aware of Sam Darnold because we know the corner quarterback who is fighting for everything is the most dangerous. And we've done it with Goff. And like I said, he's already got his weapons with him, which is a problem for us. But what he also has is an intact, healthy offensive line, which has been there with him all year. So for the most part, these guys have all... Christian Darrisaw has not played 6 snaps at left tackle this year. The rest of them, and I think the right tackle's not played 3 snaps. But we got Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. He's grading at 85 on the year, as he always does. 75 in pass blocking, 85 in run blocking. At left guard, you've got Blake Brandell. At center, you've got Garrett Bradbury. At right guard, you've got Ed Ingram, our good mate, who we love to pick on there. And then at right tackle, you've got Brian O'Neill. And I mean, they've given up 8 sacks over 5 games, so less than 2 a game. Not many people are getting towards Sam Darnold here. It is pair of good tackles, very experienced centre, guards who are working their way into it. But thus far, they've been able to give him a steady shift to work with, enough time to pass with, enough time in the run game. It's going to be an assignment for our D line on this one. They are a healthy unit.
Yeah, like tackle wise, obviously hurts that we don't have our starting edges, but this would have been the toughest assignment they would have seen so far this season in terms of tackles, really. Obviously helps, but doesn't help the fact that we faced like backup right tackles like every week until last week. And even then, we were facing a second string left tackle who should be playing left. Well, he's an all pro left guard, according to our Cowboys expert. Not so good at left tackle. This week, two really good tackles. But the interior, like Bradbury, started off really well. First couple of years in the league after getting drafted in the first, was pretty damn good. Has regressed to league average at best. And then the other two, like Ed Ingram, what a product of that LSU offense he is to get drafted in the second round. Good run blocker, but can't pass block. And then Blake Brandell, even if you bring in the 7th round pick from this year, Michael Jurgens, you're targeting that interior yet again, which means Levi, Wingo, Aleem, Reader, if we bring up Chris Smith and him, they've got to be really pressuring the middle because they're not going to get much joy out the tackles, unfortunately. So it really has to come from that interior.
What was that? Oh, damn it. I thought that was a fumble. Oh, Louisville might have just coughed it up. So about this offensive line. So on the year, 8 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 42 hurries given up for a total of 53 pressures. And Ash, we're looking for a bullseye for this that you've mentioned. 5 sacks and 30 of those pressures through the center, Garrett Bradbury, and the right guard, Ed Ingram. And what do we possess on our defensive line, which Garrett Bradbury and Ed Ingram are not going to like this week?
Liam. Liam, who is, even if he's weighed down in his pockets by all the spare change he's now got, despite, giving Curb, I think it was 50K on Venmo, he's just going to bull rush the hell out of them. Reader has shown flashes. I know, obviously, he's not a massive pass rusher, but he can do enough where he doesn't get pushed back. He can kind of occupy space for Aleem and everyone else to work off. Hell, we've seen it before, especially thinking that second half. I think we ran 7 stunts involving Ucker in that. Ucker and Levi, I think it was particularly. Just keep doing that, hook them inside, do what they do. So I know it's kind of spoiler alert for later, but one of the things the Vikings do is on third down, they have no DTs. They just put 4 edge rushers out in there, including one, I can't remember his name, but they put one guy that got from the Colts in at nose tackle, despite him being like 6'3", 250, and just have that kind of NASCAR package. Do that kind of thing where, you get him to a third and reasonably long. Put on a few more edge rushers. Hell, I know I haven't been the biggest fan of him this season, but if there's ever a game for him to step up, Houston, it's time for you to really show it.
Absolutely, it is. So, yeah, offensive line that has been together, but there is a hole on there in terms of the rushing attack on this year. Aaron Jones, 71 carries, 350 yards, going at just under 5 yards per clip. He's got 1 touchdown. He's also coughed up a fumble there. Ty Chandler as his backup has 42 carries for 147 yards at 3.5 yards per clip. Quarterback Sam Darnold, he's had just 20 carries, not really much of a rusher, 61 yards. He has fumbled the ball 5 times this year, so ball security is an issue with him. And then you've got CJ Ham and Jordan Addison who have rushing touchdowns for them this year. But you look through this, and yes, they've had a Cam Akers in there. Not the strength of this team. I know Aaron Jones is running at 5 yards per clip, but it's not an overwhelming rush attack they have. This is very much focused around their flashy receivers, and the running back room is serviceable, but not one that I think, should be really overly concerned about.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true, but you say that, but the last touchdown the Vikings scored was a 2-yard rush from CJ Ham. So then they went to second, I think it was about 4 minutes left in the second half at the Tottenham Stadium. They've since gone, I know obviously they've had the bye, so it's kind of full stat, but still, they then went to half without scoring, despite having all these flashy weapons in the past game. But it's true, they do just enough. Obviously, they run that sort of McVay, Shanahan outside zone scheme that will put a lot of pressure on our linebackers. But Cam Akers ain't it anymore. Said earlier, hasn't looked the same since that ACL tear a couple of years ago. CJ Ham's a fullback. Ty Chandler, they just seemingly don't like. There's enough, they have enough to kind of make you respect the run, but they're not exactly going to do on us and rush for 250 yards on us. We're going to be able to hopefully hold it down, especially since our linebacking core is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of their receiving group, so obviously no prizes for guessing who the main opposition is here. Justin Jefferson, who's always had a field day against us, 26 receptions, 449 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's backed up quite ably. So Aaron Jones is actually their second leading receiver with 167 yards and a touchdown. So they like using the running back out the backfield. Jordan Addison, who should be in jail, has 143 yards and a touchdown. And then Speedy Naylor, formerly of Michigan State, he's beginning to find his way in the NFL. 137 yards on 8 catches. He's got 3 touchdowns. They don't call him Speedy for no reason whatsoever. The tight ends have also chipped in. Johnny Munt has a touchdown on the year. So does Josh Oliver, although they've only combined for 102 yards. So, I mean, we know what the threat of this team is, right, Ash? And what we've had trouble dealing with the years with the secondary is the receivers. They've got a stud. They have got a good wide receiver too, although he should be in jail. And they always have those annoying, gadgety guys in the background who seem to hurt us all the time. This time, it's Jalen Naylor. Not much in the way of tight end action, though. But our secondary is revamped, and maybe we're just ready to go to war with them this time. But certainly, the big threat from them comes in this receiving game. They've got an efficient passer, and they've got some game changers catching the ball.
Yeah, well, you've kind of stole all my points. I'm literally looking it up now, but you look at all these past matchups. I'm just looking at last year of like the 300 yards that Jefferson's had on us. About half of them came against Cam Sutton.
No surprise there. Shock horror.
Exactly. That's the thing I know. So you've probably seen the stat all this week that Justin Jefferson's had more yards against the Lions than any other receivers had against any other team in the first 4 years of his career. You look back at the corners he's faced during those times, and you'd be like, "Well, of course. Hell, you probably stick me out there, and I can probably get good 400 yards against some of those corners if you give me that many targets." We're a lot different now. I know, obviously, if you look at some places, they don't exactly rate our corners. So one of the people I follow on Instagram who does this, like all these rankings, didn't have either of our outside starting corners in his top 50 corners for this season so far. Consistently rates Terrion Arnold as a D. That ain't true. You look at last week, yes, he got a couple of big plays. We managed to hold what is a damn good passing attack for the Cowboys to 9 points. You look at the end. I think it was before. It was just after this the Cowboys game. Throws to the end zone. We've allowed 1 catch. This secondary is a lot better. Admittedly, it will be harder now. Now we don't have Hutch to take a bit of pressure off, but we can still make pressure. We still got pressure last week, even when we were basically playing our backups. We still managed to get in there. Hopefully, he'll still probably get his because he's the best receiver in the league and he's got paid like that, deservingly so. But it ain't going to be another 150-yard game for him. It just won't be. And the annoying thing is, I know obviously Johnny Munt's one of their bad grades this year. He always seems to play well against us. Like the amount of times last season, you can go back and watch the streams. It'll be a third and like 14. I'll be there like, please don't let him convert. And then they just throw a pass to him and he just converts. You're just like, for God's sake, can you please stop it? That for some reason, tight end 2 on the Vikings is always going to be a weakness for us. Luckily, Hawk's not there. We know what he can do, but they've got guys who can step up. It's more of a rotation, but they can do that. And then in the backfield, backs have got enough catching chops to make screens a possibility, check down so they can get a few yards after catch for, because that's what they're going to need. Because Jefferson probably get deep a bit, but Addison is not the biggest guy. Arnold and Davis, whoever's lined up against him, depending where they match him up, isn't gonna really do much. Jalen Naylor, he's one of those gadgety guys, but Amik, he's been pretty damn good this season. You haven't really spotted him, which is a good thing. He's just been doing his job in the slot, which is what more can you expect from a guy who, when we signed him for some free agency, we're like, why the hell have we signed this guy? Showed it, and then we've got the best safety duo in the league. I don't care. I know I've kept saying for weeks it's Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons. Last week proved it. We have got the best safety duo in the league. And if Darnold throws one stray pass towards that deep and one of them can get their hands on it, Branch, let's just say, Branch, you didn't get your pick 6 last week. Maybe this week, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of this Vikings offense, so on third down, it's 24 of 59. That's nearly 41% completion. It's 14th in the NFL. On fourth downs, they're 2 of 4. It's 50%, the 17th. In the red zone, they've got 11 touchdowns on 16 trips. That's nearly 70%. They are the 5th best red zone offense in the nation. However, in the Lions, they're coming up against the 7th best red zone defense in the NFL and the 6th best defense against third downs in the NFL. This is very much a clash of styles. This is a team who are very good in the red zone, very clinical, very efficient. Again, a lot of good pass catches in there, not necessarily doing it on the ground. They don't get many rushing touchdowns. But we are an incredibly good red zone defense, as perpetuated by last week. Brian Branch in the end zone, Kirby end zone. This is going to be very much a who's going to be the best in this disciple. But you look at this, we've talked about this offense as a whole now, the Minnesota Vikings, the way they do their business here. Like, who's more value here? This is not immovable object versus unstoppable force. Who has the advantage here, do you reckon, when you look at the matchups and how we've played?
Maybe it's Honolulu blue tinted glasses, but I think it's us. Like, as I said, even if you take away that stat I said earlier about the last touchdown they had was in the second quarter of their last game 2 weeks ago, and it was a fullback dive. Offense started out really hot. It kind of dipped off a bit over, I think it was since the Packers game and the Jets game. It wasn't the same as it was against the Houston game the week before, where I infamously was like, what the hell is going on? I did not see that coming at all. They just blew the doors off them. I think they've really put all their energy into that, and they've kind of fell off a bit now, where I don't know if it's they've become, people have kind of worked out the scheme a bit. They know how to play Darnold, but when it comes especially the third downs and the red zone, where again, that end zone stat where it plays into the red zone, of course, we are able to bend, but then when it comes to the money downs, we don't break. Case in point, last week against the Cowboys, they only get 3 field goals. That is not good red zone efficiency from them. Admittedly, yeah, they had a few turnovers before then, but you hold them to that. When it came to some of the other money downs against like the Seattle, we were able to get the teams off the field where last season we weren't able to. This season we are, and yeah, Donald's a good quarterback. They've got a good couple of weapons, but they might win 1 out of 4 times. So over 3 times, we're going to win, and those start stacking up. And if our offense can just win more time on more of those sort of matchups than we let their offense do, we're going to win this handily, because the gulf in talent between their offense to ours is enormous. Well, their defense to our defense, maybe have a slight edge because of their coordinator and his scheme, but even then, it's a lot closer than quite a lot of people think.
I know it's a tough one. Is you want to say it's us? Like from the start of this year, we reckon, and with good reason, that we've got the better team. But I don't know. They're riding the west of a crave, and obviously they're at home, which counts. I think I don't know. I fancy us. Our run defense great. And everyone's saying, if our run defense holds, then Donald will not be able to beat us. But you look at it, and even in the narrow games that they've lost, when they've not been able to run the ball, they're still able to win games. And you look against, and maybe this is why. So at the Jets, 3 turnovers for Aaron Rodgers. He throws 3 picks on the day. Jordan Love throws 3 picks against them. Brock Purdy throwed a pick against them. And it seems to be obviously stopping the run is fine, but, and we'll talk about our offense and their defense in a minute. It doesn't matter for Jack if you keep giving the ball away. And this Minnesota team's finding a way to overcome having a not so good run game. Its defense has just been straight up nasty and taking the ball away even more than what ours is. And that may be what it become down to rather than us being able to stop them as much. It's just more possessions for them.
Yeah, you say that, but then you look up. Let me get it up so I can actually make my point. But I'm kind of borrowing this point from Eric Schlitt heavily here from Pride Detroit. But you look at our teams as a whole, we're actually doing better in terms of turnover differential than they are. So we are. Let me have a look. Let me see if we can get it up. God damn it! This is what happens when I'm not fully prepared. Turnovers. Here we go. So they have turned the ball over 9 times so far this season. So that is per game. Let's work out per game. Per game, they are turning it over the 4th most in the league with 1.8 turnovers. Then you scroll down, and we are 20. Well, should we do the other way around? We're the 5th best in the league for it with 0.8 turnovers. Then you look at defense, and it's about the same. So per game, let's work it out. Per game, they get the 2nd most turnover. Well, yeah, 2nd most turnovers, 2.6 a game. Us 2. We force turnovers just as much as them, but as we said with the offense, we do it less. I know obviously again, someone posts that stat like 3 interceptions so far against the Bliss this season and all this and that.
Cherry picked.
Very,
exactly. Cherry picked.
Exactly. You look at our turnover differentials. Theirs is 0.8. Ours is 1.2. We get 1.2 more turnovers a game than we give away. That's going to, you could completely right with the turnovers. It's just everyone just looks at that Vikings defense because it's nice and flashy and thinks, oh yeah, they get turnovers all the time. But then they don't look at the offense. They give it back just as much. And as we showed last week with 5 turnovers, wasn't it? With the 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, another interception was called back because of Alex Anzalone holding. We are just as opportunistic on the back end as they are. We're just more efficient on the offense and don't really give it away. The only issue is the one time we really do give it away is linebackers dropping in coverage, and that's what the Vikings like to do a lot. So that's the only issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We've talked about, we'll come back to this, but we'll go on to the defensive side now just to go through this a bit. So when it comes to their defense, the defensive line, I mean, you look at this, and this is another area where you think we've got an absolute leg up over these guys here. So when it comes to their top pressure leaders this year, so obviously Jonathan Greenard is right up there. He's got 4 sacks, 5 QB hits, 20 hurries, the big acquisition from the Texans this off-season. So he's got 29 pressures overall this year. Then you're followed by Andrew Van Ginkel, the outside linebacker. He's got 14 and 3 sacks. Pat Jones, the second, he's got 5 sacks on the edge as well. You've got Jihad Ward, who's got 14 quarterback pressures there. And then Jerry Tillery and Harrison Phillips. And Harrison Phillips is a scumbag forever and a day for what he did to Amon-Ra last year. They've both got 8 pressures apiece. But, there's flashy stats in there. But the thing that breaks out amongst all these, Ash, tackling grades. Jonathan Greenard, 40. Van Ginkel, 37. Jihad Ward, 24. Jerry Tillery, 29. Harrison Phillips, 49. This is a defensive line that, while it might get a lot of flashy sacks, etc., it can't tackle against the run. And you look at this and you think, what do we have in the NFL? One of the best offensive lines going when it comes to running the ball and putting itself in favorable situations. I mean, taking a look at the front of this Minnesota defense, you're there and you're like, I'm not as scared as maybe the stats might indicate. This feels like a very positive matchup for us and our offense.
It really does. Like, okay, yeah, Zeitler might be out, which would be a hurt at right guard, but Arashika showed when he had to come in when Glasgow moved to centre that he's capable backup for a game. Should be okay there. And then yeah, we've got Sonic and Knuckles, two of the best, if not the best running back duo in the league. They could well just look at Monty's first touchdown last week where he broke like 6 tackles, including a guy who was literally trying to drag him down by jersey, still got into the end zone. They're going to have issues. They can't wrap up on the first level, especially with the way that they like to set up their linebackers as well, line them up pretty much on the defensive line. If we can break through that first line of defense, yeah, okay. Then you've got Josh Metellus, who has got the best tackling grade on the team with a near 90 tackling grade because he hasn't missed any of his 25 attempts so far this season. But you get through that first line of defense, they don't have their best linebacker. He is out. They're down to Brian Asamoah, who is tiny. He's a former safety who turned into linebacker in the league. We should be able to just burst through them. It's really about getting that initial push and then just running through the arm tackles, which we should be able to do because we've shown it time and time again. We can. Hell, even last week, I think Craig Reynolds broke like 2 tackles on some of his on his attempts. We've got like 4 running backs who can do it. Plus, we've got Vanilla Fick as well. Just get him on a play action a naked bootleg, and he should be able to pick you up a first down or 2 as well.
I was about to say, when you started running down the Minnesota linebackers there, I thought I'm going to have no Ivan Pace Jr. slander on this podcast because he's probably going to play. He's probably going to get an increased rep in this game now that Blake Cashman's out, and Ivan Pace Jr. is a small school legend, so we will not go in there. But
emphasis on the small.
So he is very tiny, but he's like Malcolm Rodriguez, and we love Malcolm for it. But yeah, obviously a lot of these guys outside language, but when you go inside, let's say Cashman, that is just massive. He is one of the best defenders on this team, and it leaves a huge void for them. Like I say, you got Brian Asamoah. He's only played about 20 snaps this year, if that. Not really been playing much. Ivan Pace has been sporadically doing it. His run defense is tremendous. He's just like their Malcolm Rodriguez, but he also provides a nasty blitz option. That is what he was known for in college, and he has on the year. He's got a sack, couple of quarterback hits. They've not used him as much, but when he's in there, he's very effective. He's actually one of their best tackling linebackers, period. And he's pretty decent in coverage as well. But that's a hole in the middle of their defense now. If you're going to exert pressure on this D line, the 3 backing it up are also vulnerable now, and they're young. Like, these are first, second year guys in there. And again, just feels like the matchup is there for us to exploit, especially if we get our slot guys, our slot specialists, our slot only guy, according to the Vikings, which pisses me off more than anything. But
Steelers. It was George Pickens of the Steelers.
Oh, yeah, but Vikings fans are doing it this week as well. They call it Amon-Ra a slot merchant and JMO a gambler, and I'm like, you cannot say you have a DUI driver in your ranks, but hey, who? But again, we look at this matchup. That looks like a big hole for us to exploit now. Cashman's out. Obviously, they have depth. It's not going to be easy, but a lot of rookies in there coming up against some wily, crafty vets we have in the middle, and maybe you're looking at that as a bit more of a bullseye now on this defense than we were before when he was healthy.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, stats unfortunately won't back us up there. The 3rd best run defense by EPA. They've got all these nice flashy stats. It kind of helps when they blitzed like the most of the league by far. I think they've blitzed like 150 times, and they've had their bye. The next best team for it is Denver, who've blitzed like 30 times less, and they haven't had their bye yet. Kind of helps you run your Russian defense if you're just constantly sending 5 and 6. Like, really does help. And obviously, as we'll go into later, the way they set up their scheme really helps because you've got linebackers blitzing and then DNs going outside. But we can just hurt them in different ways. You say, like, now their best linebackers out, we can go up the inside on them because no Zeitler, but Ragnar is an all-pro for a reason. Glasgow's good. Our Sheik is a good run blocker. You've got Parker Hesse, who's showing decent enough at fullback to go, and you've got Skipper, who should be good to go. Obviously, probably won't be running any receiver routes this week, much to the chagrin of people who might have picked him up on fancy when they see his elite route running last week. But we've got enough weapons to hurt them on the ground to then open up the pass against what is slightly improved Viking secondary, but still isn't exactly great, despite them going up against Justin Jefferson every day in practice.
Yeah, you're right. But I guess you look at it and we move on to this secondary now. That is where the danger lies. They are running a competing Austrian bakery over there and they're trying to produce turnovers on the level that we are. But you look at the corner group, predominantly the starters, Stephen Gilmore, Byron Murphy Jr., Shaquille Griffin, the backup, all got picks on the year. All each got a couple of pass breakups in there as well. And then you move into the safeties. You've got Josh Metellus there. He's got a pick on the year, couple of pass breakups. Cameron Bynum, 2 interceptions for him, 3 pass breakups. Harrison Smith, interception, 2 pass breakups. Now, obviously, interceptions are flashy stats. We saw with Trayvon Diggs the other year. They're just sometimes the byproduct of what you've got to work with and that. But the fact is, they found a very comfortable niche this year getting, they got plenty of flashy sacks on the quarterback. Offensive lines haven't been held up, and quarterbacks have been panicking. 2 quarterbacks have had 3 interception games against them this year. This is their formula to win. Stop teams running the ball, get the quarterbacks throwing risky passes, and get the ball hawks in the secondary picking them off. But the secondary is dangerous if you are in unfavorable situations, and it's something we have to be incredibly careful about.
Yeah, and what helps secondary as well is this unique teams are starting to do it a lot more, but this sort of fixed quarters blitzing scheme they have where, again, Van Ginkel is the sort of key to it, which is why I asked the POD cast about it this week, where they send weird blitzes where Van Ginkel comes to be the fifth man with whoever the other outside linebackers, be Grenard or Pat Jones, and then they drop someone from the defensive line off into coverage to cover a flat, and they move the entire coverage around. They do this weird quarters blitzing scheme because quarters is their big zone scheme. They also run a lot of cover 2 and cover 3. They do a lot of these zone stuff where, because they can move those zones around, it confuses QB. So we saw it with Aaron Rodgers against them with the pick 6 that Van Ginkel got. First they blitz him, and then a couple of plays later they line him up on the line. He thinks, oh yeah, he's coming, so I can feel where he's coming from with the ball, and he just throws an easy pass that Ginkel could just come down with and run it back. They just love to confuse QBs, but luckily, Goff has faced that kind of scheme twice now. This will be his 3rd time. Obviously, they're on defensive 202 with it. So are we. This is our 3rd time seeing it, and we've got Frank, who is one of the best cerebral centers in the league. He can out pick up the blitzes. We've got a lot of good pieces there where we can do it. And yeah, sometimes it might mean that Goff will have to take the easy way out. He will have to force feed the ball to Laporte or to Amon-Ra or to Gibbs, Monty, whoever, on quick, easy checkdowns because he's having to get the ball out because of these blitzes. But I have trust in him that he can make the right decisions. Because yes, sometimes, he might make the characteristic Goff interception where the linebacker drops and he throws it right to them. But 9 times out of 10, I trust him to make the right decision, dice them up, because he's done it twice last season. We scored 30 on them both times. And looking now, has a team really done that this season against them? Don't think so. Yeah, no. The only team that got close was the Packers a couple of weeks ago, where they got to 29. No other team scored more than 20, scored more than 17 on them, hell. We can double that. We can double 17 easily if we play our cards right. And we have the weapons for it. Monty and Gibbs on the ground. Amon-Ra, the slot merchant in the slot. Laporte is finally getting going. I know he only had 1 catch last week on a damn good trick play, but he's starting to get there, which is making fantasy nerds happy because they keep whining and bitching that we haven't been using him. J-Mo's been going. Remember who he scored his first ever NFL touchdown against, guys? And then Tim Patrick, who everyone on this podcast must be sick and tired of me talk about ex-receiver, but told you, son. Finally making it up there with Goff as well. We've got a full range of weapons now. Hell, even Khalif did some stuff last week. We've got a full range of weapons now to target these zones, to target these blitzes and get big yards on them. We'll get the stuff going in the pass game. They start thinking about that, and then we can hit them deep, and it should be the same again. They start then dropping back to cover off JMO and that. We can run the ball. We can use Amon Ra. It's just going to be that sort of give and go. Whoever come in the chess match, and according to Ben, the well's deep enough that we should be able to outsmart even Brian Flores.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just quickly responding here. So, just in terms of the last few defensive stats here. So for Minnesota, their third downs, 22 of 71, 31%. They got fourth best third down defense in the NFL. Fourth downs, 4 of 13. That's 31% just about. It's fifth. Red zone, they've given up 9 touchdowns on 17 trips against them, which is 53%, which is 17th in the NFL. So middle of the pack, really. But this brings into, third down defense, 4th in the nation. Our red zone, our third down offense, 6th. We are pitting strength against strength here, and oh, damn, he's not done special teams grades. Hang on. You're not getting away with this, Matt. You're not getting away with this, Matthew. So in terms of special teams for their kicking, let's just get it up here. So field goals, Will Rijkaard, the Alabama kicker, perfect on extra points for the year, 16 of 16. Perfect on field goals for the year, 9 of 9. He's got 2 from within 30. Another 3 from within 40, 1 from within 50, and he's 3 of 3 from 50 plus. So this is a team with a very effective kicker, which, we don't like to hear about. The punter, Ryan Wright, he's averaging 46 yards per punt this year. He's graded out at 62. Don't know if that's good or not. And they don't do long snapper rankings, so I'm upset about that. So I'm assuming the long snapper's pretty good if Will Rijkaard's not missed an extra point or a field goal all year. So that is a very good special teams unit there in terms of the kicking, and the punting's not too bad for them there either. But we would, this is a We'll talk about the big stuff now. We'll talk about special teams and then we'll get there. But we go into Matt's favorite thing now. So the key matchups this week, and we do OLDL. I'm going to start off with another key matchup this week, and this is your wheelhouse. So I'm going to kind of give this to you. I feel like there's one very key matchup this week, and people are looking towards the coordinators here, and this is Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores. This feels like the battle everyone is low-key keying in on, because our offensive guru against their defensive guru. I mean, you are the scheme guy. I'm going to let you in on this. So this is a big battle here. Who has the upper hand when it comes to their coordinator, when it comes to Ben Johnson and Brian Flores? What do you envision happening this weekend with them?
Again, might be homer bias, but I think it's us. Honestly, I think some of the stuff we ran last week in terms of the trick plays and that was to set up stuff for this week. I can see it. So we've seen a couple of the stuff past couple of weeks with, especially where it's receivers coming around on end of rounds and then flipping the ball to Garth or to someone else or throwing it. What's one way you can get around complicated blitzing schemes is you start using motion. You start sort of countering their tricks with your own. You're confused about where they're coming from. Well, they're going to be confused about where your guys are going to be lining up. Hell, we've seen it before. Amon Ra in the backfield. We've got so many different options we can do formation-wise and that, where we can just go into their blitz. I think Eric even said it on the POD cast when asked the question, run into their blitz. If they're going to bring 4 guys from your right-hand side and only 1 from your left, you've got the blockers there. You've got damn good offensive line. You've got a good tight end. Run right at their blitz because they're not going to expect it. And we've got the shit, as I say, we've got the shifty guys to break for their arm tackles and that. Yeah, Flores might be able to get a couple of sacks, especially if Zeitler's out. He might be able to get an interception or 2 off Garth. But when push comes to the shove, there's only so many defensive plays you can run with your personnel. You can't suddenly turn around to them and say, right, well, now we're going to run a lot of man, because a damn heavy zone team, despite Flores' Patriots background. On offense, it's a lot easier to switch things up. You can say at halftime, okay, we're going to scrap. We're doing a lot of outside zone. Now we're going to go counter, use it against them. They think you're going to go outside, bounce it back inside. There's so many different things you can do on offense. And maybe, again, it's me just being blinded by the genius that is Ben Johnson running high off last week, scoring nearly a 50 burger. But he showed it last season as well, as I said, 30 both times against this team. Yeah, they had slightly worse personnel, but we've seen this scheme time and time again, and it's a lot easier to evolve than it is on offense than it is on defense. So I see it being close. As I say, there might be times where Flores just gets the perfect play, but there's going to be times where you're going to be sitting there and suddenly we're going to break a 60-yard touchdown. You'll be like, there's Ben. There's Ben.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I feel like we have, like you said, it's all going to come down to how we deal with this. And I say we have the ability to do that. I think after last week, especially, I agree. I do think we've kind of set this up. We're like to the Vikings. Okay, you want to rush us? Look at what we did to them guys last week. Look at what we're able to pull out our bag here. And I'm with you. I think Ben feels like he's in his wheelhouse now. He feels like he's the best offensive coordinator in the game, and anyone who's going to come up against him is. And like, I believe him when he says we're not even looking at the bottom of the well yet. Like, they probably have some absolutely nuts stuff up there. Okay, what trick play do they pull out this week, Ash? Let's bet. What do they pull out this week?
I think it's time. I've been calling for it for 4 years now. He's got his money. It's time to get him his tuddy. Aleem McNeil fullback dive. He was a running back when he came to NC State. He played an outfielder in baseball. He's got the defensive production. Let's start getting him those offensive stats. Really, hit the bonuses on his contract now.
That's not the bottom of the well. That's boring below the bottom of the well. That's really going down there. I'm going to upset Jeremy, and I'm thinking flea flicker this week. We always do one against the Vikings. I feel like we catch the Vikings out a lot with that. Imagine saying that. We've also done the laterals. We've done the lateral pass out wide and then thrown on them as well. So maybe feeling lateral, but I think they're definitely gonna have something up their sleeve there. So obviously that is one of the biggest battles we've got going. It's Ben versus Brian. Who can come out on top of that probably decides who win this game. I mean, for me, it's kind of ball security. The only team who's put up serious points from them this year is the Packers. And you look at the Packers offense in their game against them, 380 passing yards, 80 rushing yards. Turned it over 3 times. You can't have empty calorie stats because you're air raiding the ball all the time. Yes, he threw for 4 touchdowns, but it's not going to be enough. I just feel like we've just got so much more variety than all the others there. In terms of other matchups, so obviously we've got the traditional ones. We look at the trenches overall, and for Lions O-line versus their D-line, again, I'm just going to say this. They do get home a lot, but if you run the ball well, which we do, and you stop them blitzing on them, which we do, it feels like they're going to struggle to contain our run game. They can't tackle. Holes are going to open up. We're going to be in a lot of favorable situations. Goff's going to be in a lot of favorable situations to air it out, and we should be able to impose our will on this. And we need to do that. When you're at a hostile atmosphere, which it will be, run the ball, silence the crowd, don't put it in danger, and most importantly, don't turn it over. And we don't, he says, touching wood, fumble a lot.
Oh, God, yeah. We really don't, though. That rings a bit of... it's really a throwback a couple of years ago against the Cowboys when we're saying, Jamal Williams has never fumbles it at the 1-yard line.
Oh, well, Jamal Williams is nothing compared to these two.
Oh,
those people who said,
definitely.
oh, yeah, Swift and Jamal, you've got nothing better than them with these two. Yeah, one of the worst takes of the millennium.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, ball security, not only in terms of the fumbles, but obviously the interceptions as well. Though that's going to be harder. But yeah, just it's time to wrap it high and tight when you're running the ball because, yeah, as well, we've shown it with our defense last week. It's quite easy to peanut punch these days. Some runners are getting very lax with their ball security. Not us. I think that's one of the things that Scotty really preaches is your ball security. And it's going to be key here, as you say, because we can definitely force turnovers on them. It's just, as you said earlier, just minimizing the ones we give them. We do not want to give them free passes. Do not want to give them short fields. which is probably why another guy that we haven't mentioned yet, but it's going to be a key matchup. Jack Fox versus Brandon Powell, the former Lion.
Absolutely. Got to give special teams some love there.
Exactly, especially that's why I loved the little highlights package that the Lions put out last week for his game. All those spectacular holds, they were great.
I know he's going to have forgotten what it's like to punt. I don't know who I am anymore, man. It was so long ago. But yeah, I see our offensive line be their D line. I think that is a boost for us. We switch it. So our D line versus their O line. So we've already established there is a big bullseye on that center and that right guard who like giving up pressure on here. And with us having Reader and McNeil, this feels like something we can exploit, especially against the run game. They don't have running backs who like to go outside the tackles a lot. They don't really like to do that sort of stuff. The only issue is, how are the guys going to hold up on the edge, and will they be able to? Because if the Vikings see that we're struggling because we're guys there, maybe they will try and run it outside the edge. You've got Cam Akers now, whether he plays. For me, this kind of feels like a bit of an even off here. I think we've got the advantage in the interior. I'm a little worried about the exterior because, let's face it, they do have two really good tackles there. How do you see this one playing out in terms of a head-to-head?
Yeah, I think it's a dead push. We have the advantage on the interior. The tackles, yeah, okay, they win a bit. But if we can say one thing about Pascal and Levi, because of their build, they'll be good at setting the edge. It's more the pass rushing that'll be the issue. But in terms of just setting the edge, that's the one thing Pascal has done well since he's entered the league is sort of set the edge, don't let him bounce outside, keep the linebackers clean so then they can hit their gaps and make the plays. So yeah, so interior wise, definitely we'll probably see a few more of those double A gap blitzes that we pulled out against Zimmer last week just to rub it into him, even though he wasn't even there last year. See a few more of them as well, particularly as you say over the right guard and the centre in that gap. Get AA, they get Malcolm there. I know we said earlier about Pates being a good blitzer. So is Malcolm. Use that wrestling background to good use. He knows how to leverage gaps and stuff. Hits the running back, can get the TFLs. But yeah, on the outside, yeah, maybe they bounce out a bit more because we're down basically our top three guys there. If you include Kamish, who hasn't been in action since the preseason, maybe you do, but then you've got the linebackers who go side to sideline and to clean it up. You've got Brian Branch who can, as soon as he reads a play from a safety position, he's down on it. Kirby's got a lot better at doing that this season. We've got the guys who, yeah, if they bounce out, they're able to read and react. So long as it's not like the Seattle second half where they're getting in each other's way.
It's just a whammy of not having Barnes and Iffy as well, isn't it? Like two of our better helping blitzers off the edge who can get out. It's like that just really sucks because in games like that, they'd be crucial for us to help overload it. For this, I'm spamming the inside stump button. Like you say, just go for that interior and rip it open. Because those two guys can hold up the tackles trying to go inside. Just spam inside stun, go for it, and just absolutely go to town on there. But I'm with you. This feels like a 50-50. Given the edges, and we've got to see how they perform. And I would like to see a bit of blitz in it. I think you're going to need to help them against these tackles, dependent on. But if we can stop them running the ball, get them in some good long third downs. Houston's here, and Dan said this week this is his opportunity, and maybe it is. We got a load of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s. Send him, see what he does, because they will struggle to deal with him, and we could bring him on those inside stunts as well because he's got the speed. So I don't know. It's even fancying a little bit of an edge to us as well, though. Right, receivers and DBs. I guess we start with our DBs first. This is one of their biggest tests yet. Obviously, Carlton has been banged up a bit this week with a hip injury, which you don't want. But we said this at the start of the year. The secondary is very new. A lot of new faces in there. It's going to take time for them to gel. They took their lumps before the bye. They worked on it after the bye. They look like they're getting the continuity now. They look like they're communicating right. We're getting the turnovers. The plays are there. And most importantly, those guys, when they're coming up in press and they are putting pressure on the opposition wide receiver, they're not getting pinged for penalties no more. Just these little things that take time to work out. Looks like it's coming to fruition. And it feels like our best opportunity to deal with their passing offense that we've had in a while, because we've struggled against it in Dan Campbell's entire tenure. How do you see this? Is this as big an advantage to the Vikings as it has been for them before?
Not as big as it was before, but they will probably still get theirs just because that's the nature of the league. It's weighted towards offense. They've got the weapons. The good thing about it though is you look at Jefferson's stats. He gets a lot of yards in their losses. Their wins against us. No, their loss against us. The one time they won against us, he was like 16 yards. Admittedly, it helped that Amani Area gave him like a 300 yards on penalties, which I don't see happening this week because he's not here. But it's not as big of a win for them as it was in years prior, where they were going up against Cam Sutton, Jeff Okuda, Desmond Trufant, Jerry Jacobs, who I hope is okay. I don't know if people saw his tweet earlier, but he's not having a good.
That's concerning.
It was a bit concerning. Hell, Vildor, who was a starter for them against them the last couple of for the 2 games last season, he's off backup. And considering what some of the beat reports are saying, he might even not even be the first guy off the bench anymore because Rakestraw exists. It's a lot closer now. They will still probably get good 200, 250 passing yards, but they aren't going to burn us deep anymore. We're going to be able to contain the big plays. It's going to be up to them just to dink and dunk it on us. And if they do hit it deep, as I say, we've got Kirby, we've got Brancher in the form of their lives. We'll be able to pick it off.
That seems to be the thing this year. Like, those deep safeties are helping us more now. Like, that seems to be the trouble we've had over the years. Who would you give to Jefferson? Like, which of the corners would you give? Would you give him to Terry? And like, I feel Terry on this trial by fire thing's working with him, and I'd be in favor of like giving him a shot here. But maybe we go with the vet instead. But it's still the interesting question: who do you give the prime responsibility to with him?
I'll give him to Carlton, but the issue is they do like using Jefferson a lot as well. If they talk about Amon-Ra being slot merchant, they use Jefferson there quite a lot. So pot calling the kettle black much or anything. So it might be a Meek as well. But whoever we give it to, because they'll probably move him around as well, you'll have to shade probably Kirby over to that side, especially with the way we like to play with that sort of like pseudo cover 3 with Branch coming down as a buzz safety. We'll be able to bracket coverage him, and we can trust Terry on to cover Addison one-on-one. We can trust Branch or Kirby now to cover a tight end. You can trust the linebackers to cover the backs coming out the backfield. That only option will be Jefferson. We'll be able to cover everyone else. Yeah, Jefferson might be able to get 100 yards, which would be good for my fantasy team, but not a lot else.
Tell you what was also good for the soul, a 50 burger for the Miami Hurricanes. Hey, I have not said one word about the Seminoles tonight. Rather me praise Miami than critique.
True.
I put 20 tweets in today, but who knows? So then we flip this. Lions wide receivers versus Vikings DBs. Now, one thing we've not struggled against the Vikings in the past is scoring points. In the last 3 games against them, we've got 94 points. We score a minimum of 30 per game on them. Amon-Ra has retired more Vikings cornerbacks than, they've drafted in that time. We just seem to have them figured out when it comes to the secondary. Our guys seem to have the advantage. I would say with JMO on fire now, with Tim Patrick in there, with Amon-Ra being himself and Laporte is getting there, like, I'm still giving this an utter up to us. I have seen us do nothing but destroy the careers of Vikings secondary players over the years. And if we can nullify that D-line, which is what kind of gives them this aura they've got, this feels like a big advantage to us, to me. Don't know about you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the only Vikings DB that worries me is Harrison Smith. And that's just because he's Harrison Smith. He's got that aura of he's always makes a play against us, be a forced fumble or interception. But the others, Gilmore's aging. I know we mentioned him, maybe someone to bring in as a vet guy to help with Terrion. Not a lot there. Like, nothing to be worried about. This is not the Xavier Rhodes era Vikings where they actually had good corners. And even then, the roads were always open when it came to us. So even then, Goff hit. I know the betting people. I'd hit the over again. I'd hit the over on that. I'd hit the over on JMO receiving yards. Hell, Gibbs receiving touchdown maybe. screen pass into the blitz, get him some blockers, let him go to work.
Oh yeah, I agree. I have vast confidence in our receivers in this. Like I said, I've just seen them destroy them the last few games, so I don't see anything changing there. Are there any other like matchups you have pinned here as to like, right, this is going to be critical for us if we're not? I know you mentioned kind of punters and special teams a bit already, but is there anything else you've zoned in on that you want to mention in terms of the matchup?
Not really. No, obviously they've got Rijkaard as a good kicker. Bates, I'd be tempted to try him from 50. It's the dome. US Bank Stadium's like an indoor stadium technically, so you got that extra little bit. If we do stall out at their like 35, 40, let's say it's like it's third and no, it's fourth and sixth, try him out, see what he can do. Because you only can increase his confidence. So when it comes to the end of the year, when it's back home for us week 18 and he needs to make a 54-yard field goal to win us the game, you start building up that confidence now. And it'll do us dividends when it comes to the actual games that matter.
Yeah, and this very much feels like it's field goal margin of victory territory. Like this feels like it could be decided by a walk off or just by 3 points. Or so you're right there. It could be who's the last one with the ball, who's got the good management of the clock, who sort of gets this one right. So it's going to be very tough there. Just a few questions before we do our predictions for this. So Bobo Lan asks, is it unfair of me judging the new D-line coaches at his job based on this game in particular, given the game's importance? So obviously, I mean, people with John Scott last year, people were very harsh on him, maybe right so, but he did implement one of the best run defenses in the NFL, and he did do well, but it was in primetime games where he struggled, where ultimately he probably lost his job here. Is it unfair to judge Terrell Williams if the D-line's unable to replicate Aiden week one after his injury?
A tiny bit unfair. Like, as I mentioned earlier, this is the best tackle duo we're going up against so far this season. And we've just lost our best weapon, our best weapon. Hell, the defensive player of the year. I don't care what some Vikings fans thought after that Jets game. Recency bias really clouding their eyes there. He was the defensive player. He was running away with it. To lose him is going to be a big blow. But yeah, if we're just stonewalled, if we don't get many pressures, if we do allow them rushing yards, then maybe we can start being a bit worried because it might be, again, some of the accusations might be true that we're picking on weak offensive lines. And when it comes to actual good tackles, we can't do anything. But at the same time, this is game like even this six. Yeah, you can see me counting in my head. It's game 6, 7 for us. We've still got another half a season to go. Judging from the whole, like with John Scott, I know you just mentioned, I think it was just mismatch. It was like Vance and Lynn. It just wasn't a match in terms of coaching philosophies. It happens. Same with Aubrey Pleasant. Great coach. One day might be a good defensive coordinator. It just wasn't a match.
See, I'm thinking last year, like what did for John Scott, like the Seahawks game, pair of rookie tackles. We got nothing on Gino in that game, and despite the fact we did stop the run, we couldn't get nothing there. We have a very obvious mismatch here, like Reader and Aleem versus Ed Reed and Garrett Bradbury. That feels like something you've got to exploit. Like you know you're going to struggle against tackles, so I don't know. I guess I want to see them have creative ways to make pressure down the middle, bring extra, like say, stunt blitzers through their late blitzers, whatever, to really put them under pressure. And you've got to, like Dan says, you've got to find the mismatches and go at them. You can't win everywhere. So I'd be meh. I would be disappointed if we didn't bring pressure on that interior.
Yeah.
But I don't think I wouldn't call it on him just yet, but I would be watching for future reference if we didn't. I think that's where I'd be at. Like cause for concern maybe, or cause for awareness about it. So yeah, that's where I'd be at with him as well. Mike asks question, would you ever put Skipper on the D line to block field goals just standing up prior to the kick? Sounds like something sicko you'd do.
Oh yeah, especially if people saw Phipps presser this week, but he does not like this new technique of trying to block field goals. So maybe, yeah, he's going to be one step ahead and do that. I mean, Skip's already now taking the NFL record for the tallest wide receiver in NFL history. Let's make him the tallest NFL like DB with a field goal block.
See, what I want to know is it illegal to put someone up on your shoulders and lift them up into the air to block it? Because surely you could get Skip on
Oh yeah,
someone. You could like two
get
of you
Chris. Yeah,
like lift
Chris
Skip
Smith.
up, one leg each, lift Skip up into the air, get him about 15 foot up in the air. Is that illegal?
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it is,
that's
but you ever got the
illegal.
perfect guy. If you've got a guy who can bench press 350 pounds in Chris Smith, that's where you bring him off of the practice squad. Screw him being the backup one tech.
But
Just get him for that. Just do like the
just
old
make
like
one of the
cheerleading routine.
yeah, just make one of them big cheerleader triangles. You can do that in 2 seconds. Just up you go. That's what I'd be doing, and that feels like the thing for that. There, we could put Skip in there. Just like raise him to the Titanic music whilst he's blocking a field goal as he's getting lifted 15 foot in the
Oh
air.
yes.
That would be the ultimate best thing in the world. That would. Um, Grandizer, as always, asks the devil's advocate question here.
Oh, no.
3 keys for the Vikings to beat the Lions. So if we're a Vikings content creator and we're thinking about ways, because we do have to play devil's advocate, how do they beat us? Now, I mean, to me, that would be one, you stop us running. You've got
Yep.
to get us into your wheelhouse. If you can get us into long third down situations, then we're going to be vulnerable. And if you can pressure Goff, we're going to be vulnerable because he can throw turnover worthy plays at times. That feels like one you've got to do there.
Yeah.
Not turning the ball over at all. I think you've got to run the ball, but you've got to win time of possession against us for sure, which means you've got to run the ball a lot better than you have been this year. And then, ooh, I think you've got to turn us over. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds silly, but not creating turnovers, getting turnovers, and stunting our run game would be where I'd start with us because you've got to keep our offense on the sidelines, basically. That's how you win this game. And that's kind of how you do it. You have to keep them on there by having long expanded drives of your own, and you have to win the turnover battle. How would you beat the Lions if you were KOC?
But yeah, number one, stop the run. You say number two, force those flags. Get Cole. I know, and I hate saying it, but that is our DB's weakness on the outside is those flags, is the holding, the pass interference that might be a BS. Just get those easy flags that get you the chunk yardage. And then, as you say, capitalize on turnovers. Like, if you get a pick, don't stall out, don't get a free, score off them because, as a certain team saw last night, if you can score a lot of points off turnovers, it can win you games, even if your offense is overly averaging less than 2 yards a fucking play.
You're not going to let that one go very soon,
I'm
are
not.
you, Ash?
I'm really not. Like, we let that game drop through our hands. Like Kentron Portier let that Luke Croman Hawk absolute dart in the end zone go through his hands. How can you let your QB have a 90 passing grade from PFF and lose the game that badly?
Oh dear. Let's maybe sit off the FSU stuff now. It's getting out there. Brent DeWitt asks, how many linebackers sacks tomorrow? So, are we going to use the inside stunts and let the linebackers go for a hunt? How many do you reckon?
Let me think. I'm going to say 2.5.
2.5 sacks from the linebackers.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is tough. This is tough. I will go. Do I reckon they will? I don't know if they will. I don't think we're going to bring much pressure from the secondary because we're going to be too worried about their wide receivers. I think we'll have to keep them in check. Oh, I fancy it all to come through the interior. I do. I'll go 1.5. 1.5. We'll bring a bit of blitz package there. We'll bring some help for them, but I fancy a Lehman Reader to get loads. I fancy them to eat tomorrow. Like we could see multi-sack games from the pair of them, and I would like to see that there. Okay. Obviously, if you've got any more questions about this, just let us know. Well, we'll do the score predictions now, and then we can just sort of settle it down and do any other bits there. But Grandizer goes, what? When you do your score predictions, Lions player of the game in the win. So do your score prediction and who your player of the game has to be for that result to come to fruition.
31-28 to the Lions. You were bang on when you say it's going to be a field goal. It's like difference. I was like, that's what I smell. It's like, you know it right. Can we score 31 on them? And the player of the game, it's got to be my boy Kirby. End zone interception to seal the game.
Not Jake Bates when he hits a winning field goal from 64 yards.
No, if it was going to be that, it'll be Hogan for getting the snap exactly right. Like I've got his jersey for a reason.
Hogan had oh what? Hogan had him rushing touchdown on a fake punt. Maybe.
Or
we could just do something. Or passing touchdown. I mean, they've
receiving touchdown from the college last week where the long snapper caught a touchdown on a fake field goal.
Long snapper caught a touchdown from the kicker. I can't remember where it was at, but yeah, they should get that one in the books. Me, what do I think? See, I'm traditionally bad cop, and I love to just, I don't know. There's just something that's telling me that we, like against the Cowboys. I know I wasn't on the preview for it, but if I had, I would have said we were going to win by 3 scores minimum because we just, when it came to the keys to victory and the key matchups, we just outdid them in every single discipline by so much. And we saw that during the game. I look at the keys here, like offensive line, I just think we're going to run the ball, which is going to take it out their defense's wheelhouse and they're not going to get the turnovers. And then I think on defense, we have, 1, we'll stop them running the ball. And 2, we've now got a secondary to put up with some of their biggest and best weapons there. So I'm thinking it should be bigger than 3. But then, of course, the one factor you can't take into it is team spirit. They're 5-0. They are playing beyond the sum of their parts. They're playing pissed. They're playing disrespected. And as we know as the Lions, that provides such an advantage for you. And it's home field advantage for them, which makes it tough as well. So whilst I still think we are a lot better team and we match up well, there's just so many things that bring this into line. Ugh. I would have something up near you. I will go, and I know this is like the price of right when someone says $850 and someone goes 851 just to really piss them off. I will go 30-27 to the Lions. I've got like a point swing there. I think I'm with your wheelhouse. I think there will be points in this game. Like obviously they're going to burn us occasionally. Justin Jefferson's just that good. They will get points, but I think we will sneak it out. I think we'll earn each other's respects in this one, as much as I hate the fans. Who would be the player of the game, though? That is the question. I mean, if you're scoring 30 points, it's generally going to come on offense. Amon-Ra is the Viking Slayer. He has that ability to have big plays. He started this whole thing with his touchdown when we won our first game here. And there's just something about it where I think he's going to be the guy again. Especially, he's going to pick on that linebacker core like there's no tomorrow. There are a lot of undersized guys in there, not so good against coverage, not as savvy against veteran route runners like him. I think Amon-Ra's going to go for a big one. I'm thinking like 150 and 2 tutties for him. I think it'll be big Amon-Ra game. So that's where we're at. Ash is 31-28. I am 30-27. So I don't want to make it exact. We'll at least try and have a bone of contention in this one here. What does everybody in the comments think? How do you see this one going out? Let us know your score predictions. I've seen a few in there already. Carlton says 34-31, so to Lions, obviously. So he's thinking along the same lines as we are. Applying pressure earlier. Said Lions 28, Vikings 17. So they see it on paper working out that way, because I think on paper we are better there. DJ goes, I think we overestimate our ability given the teams we've played to date. Is that fair? Our schedule to date, I think, has been pretty tough. Rams playoff team, Tampa playoff team, Dallas, yeah, well, whatever, playoff team, but Bucks we've lost to, who are definitely a playoff team. I feel like we've had a tough enough, I feel like we've had a tough enough schedule to say that we're not overrating this team. I just think we absolutely marmalized a bad Cowboys team, but you've still got to beat them like that, and we did, and we didn't let up off the throttle for 60 minutes. There was no complacency. There was just grind, grind, grind. For me, that's a healthy mentality. I don't think we're overrating ourselves now. Don't know about you,
Yeah,
do you, Phil? I don't.
yeah. I don't like. Let's bear in mind. Okay, yeah, this is based on last season, but we've faced the two teams we beat in the playoffs, a team that absolutely beat us,
Yeah,
a Cardinals team which, okay, yeah, is a bit Jekyll and Hyde, but
it
uh,
was good when we played them.
it was good when we played them. And then the Dallas Cowboys, who last season did not score less than 35 points at home. Again, Jekyll and Hyde. These are really damn good teams. Like the Vikings, and yeah, the Vikings have played good teams as well. They played Texans, who are of the AFC version of us. They played the 49ers, but they've also played, the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers, who, despite what some fans think, is not a good QB anymore. I don't see how getting Devontae Adams is going to help matters. They've played the New York Giants as well. Like, it's about equal, I'd say, in terms of schedules.
So yeah, they've had three one-score games in their five wins, so they're not blowing teams out every week. And again, the near nitty-gritty ones, the Jets and the Packers, they got six interceptions in those games. Like they're winning because of turnover. And I'm not demeaning what they do, absolutely not. But when they come up against a team who's got good ball security and a good offense to put points down, which I'm not sure they have yet. The 49ers are not what the scalp they once were. The Texans obviously are, but I don't know. It just feels. I don't know. I feel like we're a class above all those teams they've played. I do. I think we are their toughest examination
Yeah.
of the year, and I think we have had some tough examinations ourselves. Oh, hang on. Where was I about to go here? Because I was. Uh, Applying pressure goes St. Brown 120 yards. Applying pressure goes Kirby will have two picks. Mike the Marine goes Lions win 27-23. MVP is Fox for his field position specializing is his title there. I can't remember quite
Field
entirely.
position
But
opposite optimization specialist.
yeah, they're all getting their own titles now. We've got the Detroit Movers on the offensive line. That feels like a complete that feels like an R&B band. The Detroit. No, it sounds like a Northern Soul band. The
The Detroit
Detroit
people
Movers.
people movers, yeah.
The Detroit People Movers is a.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it is a Northern Soul band, and Grandizer will appreciate that one there. Grandizer goes Lions 30, Vikes 20. Um, Grandizer goes not a hot take. Lions get three interceptions. Will the real Sam Darnold please stand up? Will we make him see ghosts? But wow,
Again.
Bobo Lan here. Detroit 35, Minnesota 14. JMO's getting three
Ooh,
tuddies. If
love
JMO
it.
gets three tuddies and we blow them out like that, oh my God, I'm going to be insufferable next week. Vikings
Oh,
fans have been insufferable this week. And they just
yeah.
dismissing us like we're nothing. And like, oh, look at us, we got Sam Darnold. The same franchise that were dragging us down for backing Jared Goff for 3 years is now, honeymooning Sam Darnold. It's like, yeah, no, don't think so. Grandizer said Lions 30, Vikes 20. So um, obviously all Lions wins here, but some think we're going to do it by a distance. Ken Stout has 14-point win. Carlton asks you, Ash, how many rushing yards will Goff have on how many carries? We're gonna
Ooh,
bring some quarterback play in here. Maybe a quarterback tuddy. I
yeah.
think he
I'm
had
gonna
one
say
against them last year. Was one of his two last year against Minnesota? I'm pretty sure it was.
I think so. I'm gonna say, yeah, 3 rushes for 20 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, TJ is saying that he meant our defense when it comes to our team's ability. Are we overestimating our defense? Yeah. I guess is
No,
the. I know. I'm with you. I think
you
the
you look at the
secondary's taken time to grow,
mhm,
and the D line is. I like the run defense has been good since day one. I think we're seeing the culmination of the project now.
yeah. I
So
mean, you
yeah.
look at
Sorry, go on.
okay, Rams. okay, the Rams is a bit of a push because obviously they've both got injured during the game, but we faced Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup week 1. Week 2, it was Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Week 3, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., who is probably going to be a top 3 receiver in the league by the end of next year. Michael Wilson, who's not too bad. Week 4, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Last week, CD Lamb, Jalen Tolbert. We faced damn good receivers again. Doesn't let up this week. Next week, luckily, we get a bit of a brighter bye week for that because they're really good. They're Calvin Ridley, who does not get targeted, and they've just put Treylon Burks on IR. Then it's back again to the Packers, who have 2 million wide receiver 2s and our wide receiver 1. Texans might have Nico Collins back. Like, we're facing murderers road receivers this year, and we haven't been too bad. Like, okay, week 1 gave up 300 passing yards. Seattle, where it was just that shootout kind of thing, gave up nearly 400. But other than that, we've gave up less than 200 passing yards in the other 3 games.
Yeah, we're not giving
rushing,
up. We're not giving up rushing touchdowns. You know, it feels like we are getting more takeaways than ever. It feels like the culmination of the project. Like, we spent so long building up the line. The linebackers are all young as hell outside Anzalone. Like, that's been a project that's taken time. But Barnes has developed. Rodrigo's developed. Campbell looks amazeballs. Like these last few games. Germ as well. Like, that's a good young core. Really young core that's going to set us up for years. And then the secondary, it's been, you know, you've just been utilizing so many new pieces in there, but it feels like the culmination of a project. And it feels like we're starting to reap the benefits now. So I don't think we're overreacting there. It will be interesting to see the downfall from Hutch. That's what everybody's looking at now. What's the downfall from Hutch? Like, and everybody, you know, especially our rivals will be hoping it drives a wedge in us. But I just think it's going to galvanize them. Like, people are going to write them off even more now, and this team love being written off because they love proving you wrong. So, but it's a fair question. Are we overrated? I don't think so personally. So, but I can see why potentially there. We've had a few more score predictions. Run DMG goes 21-19. Detroit. Brent is 34-31. Lions, the black and blue division brawl. Yeah, there's oh yeah, the Vikings play Thursday night football after this. They're gonna hope they don't lose this. That's a short week to, like, the Detroit curse is gonna continue after that potentially. Don't know who Dallas plays. Oh, Dallas on a bye, so they'll be the next ones we.
But yeah, and the thing as well, they've got to go cross country, the Vikings, because they're at SoFi.
Yeah, exactly. Kem says this right with the defense is going to be extra inspired. I figure the entire team to be on this is for Hutch mentality. That feels like it's they're going to do it all for him now. And again, when this team loses its part or loses, you know, it rallies. It rallies to the call. And it just feels like this is going to be a huge rallying call here. Because now everyone's going to say they're an ass defense who are no good because they've lost their best pass rusher. Don't think that's true. Like I said, we've got the best run defense in the NFL. That is a big thing. Having a run defense before a pass, you would rather have a run defense than a pass rusher, right? Run defense wins games more. For me, I think it makes it easier to win more.
Well, why not both? Why not both? We had both.
Why not both? Why not both? Yeah, let's trade Myles Garrett and then let's just get this done. Applying pressure goes. So, is there anything else you want to mention about the Vikings game that we've not mentioned thus far? Because we'll probably do a few questions now and then we'll get out of here and watch some college ball.
That bloody horn, please. I fucking hate that thing.
The Gallahorn. Yeah. Let's hopefully we can get Jack Fox to punt a ball up into the Gallahorn and block it. Then when they try to blow it, it just implodes everywhere. We'd do that. Gallahorn, the skull clap. I mean, you're nicking it off the Icelanders. Like, really, that's cultural appropriation, and we shouldn't accept that. They even do the thunderclap now. Like, you're nicking everything off the Icelanders, please. You know, be original. You're not Vikings, but hey who. Blind pressure goes, do you guys think Brad makes a trade for a player? We did open the start for this, but anyone who wasn't listening then, do you think in your heart of heart, when this trade deadline is closed, that we have a new player on this roster as a result of a trade? Significant, and by significant, it doesn't have to be trade-wise, but like a Harold Landry or a Carl Granderson or someone like that. You're 100% certain.
Yeah. Like, it's not so much an FDF picks things, but we've seen it in the past couple of years that if the price is right, sometimes, I know obviously sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Brad's not afraid to do it. Last year, we kind of needed a big downfield guy because of some stuff. Trade for Donovan Peoples-Jones. Trade for Trenty Benson. He's done it a couple. Denzel Mims Jr. off season. He's done it a couple of times, and now there's a real need, and there's players who can be available. Harold Landry, Zadarius Smith, Carl Granderson, that kind of range of player where it's not going to be a multiple first round pick kind of guy, but someone that you can trade conditional 3, conditional 4 for. I can see it happening because it doesn't hurt our future prospects, but it helps us right now to stabilize the ship because we really don't have anyone at edge to the point where we're moving Levi from free tech to the big end role just because we have no one else right now.
And, how soon do you see him pulling the trigger on it? Because he doesn't strike me as someone who's going to wait for the deadline itself. So I believe it is on the 5th of November. So we've got about two and a bit weeks, something like that now. When do you reckon he's going to pull the trigger? This game? Next game?
Before next game.
So next week?
Yeah. So I'm just looking now and want to see who do.
So yeah, the 5th is 2 weeks on Tuesday from now, which is the Saturday. So yeah, we've not got long left.
And to be fair, the game that I think both of us will be watching and tomorrow, other than our own, is the Bengals at the Browns, because I think that's both of our preferred edge rushers teams going up against each other.
Yeah, no. Couple of logistical questions here. Mike the Marine asks, he says, last question. It doesn't have to be a last, Mike. Ask as many as you want. How many openings on the 53-man roster currently? I know you're always up to date on this. There you go. We've got 2. So is that the practice squad elevations we're expecting today to fill them then, which have not happened?
They're separate. So they don't count. So they don't have to fill roster spots. We've got 2 open spots. I think quite a lot of people expecting Isaac Okwu to fill one of those spots, like permanently, and then we're probably expecting someone like Chris Smith that's come up, as the Vikings have signed Robert Tonyan to the 53-man roster and downgraded TJ Hawkinson to out. So we're getting to see good old Bobby Tonyan again. And Risen is out.
Who?
Dalton Risen is out as well.
No, he's not coming back off IR then. So yeah, that's big. I don't know whether would he get in. I guess he'd get in their team, but yeah,
he'd be their starting left guard easily.
Yeah. So okay, bit of news there. There was another question there. I was trying to find. Where were we? Oh no, have I not lost it? Oh God, I can't even remember where I was going to go now. So we've got a bit of a competition going on here. Matt Hicks goes, I think Campbell and the rest of the coaching staff want to make an example of the Vikings as we did the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Lions 48, Vikings 10. I mean, good Lord. If that happened, you'd think Matt will kill himself. Jesus, can you imagine all that cheering?
I don't want to clip that up.
Matt's coming back off COVID, guys. I mean, Jesus, we can't give him.
I can't do the thing, call 99 for him, and then have to clip it up. I've got the one for Hutch going out today in a bit, and I had to stop it as soon as Matt said oh God, Hutch is hurt. I've had to stop it down. I'm not going further than this. I can't do this.
We'll have to start paying Ash for all the TikToks he's clipping up at this point. Wow. Do we think Houston will be another healthy scratch from Run DMG? No. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is his chance here. And him and Pascal especially are going to be under the thumb. They're going to be right under the microscope with the trade deadline upcoming. So, no, I don't think he will be. Especially because we've got 2 guys off the roster. So we only need to healthy scratch, 3 players? 3 players, 4 players?
Yeah, unless if we sign 2 people to this thing, then maybe.
We don't have to healthy scratch many, and one will be Isaiah Williams, one will be Colby Sorsdal, one will be Manu, so...
I say Sorsdal, I think it'll be...
Oh, yeah, Strickland. Yeah.
Zeitler, and then if you're going to strike another guy, Lon Strickland, the backup sort of strong safety, nickel hybrid guy we've got. He's a candidate.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, I've not been going on Twitch. Hopefully everyone's... Big Aries, I think it's going back to where it goes. I'm calling for the guards to get in on the trick play. Okay, maybe one of the
Ooh.
guards. Um, oh, figure is. I think this is going back to the Gallahorn and them stealing off the Vikings. He goes, it's a lot to ask to come up with original stuff. Michigan State had to steal from the 300 movie. Oh, Spartans.
Yes.
Pretty sure they were called the Spartans before. I don't know why they're called the Spartans. I'll have to look it up. It's not like a Troy Trojans thing or anything like that. I don't know why they're called the Spartans, but who knows? What, did
Yeah.
Michigan then steal it from watching X-Men? Is that how it works? Oh,
Yeah.
we're big fans of Wolverine. Let's become Wolverines. I have to go over the etymology of some of these teams and why they're named as such. I can get it with some of them, but some of them is like, not sure why.
I mean, I know that Michigan, well, both Michigan's unis have got good classics.
Yeah, maybe.
Du-du-du-du-du. Baseball talk.
Brent just goes, just win, baby. Absolutely, just win. Adder still goes, I will take all winning scores for the Lions. I am not greedy. No, none of us are greedy.
Ah,
Apart from the person saying we're going to score 48 points, that's greed. But I love it, that
hey.
type of greed.
So, Michigan State University's nickname Spartans was chosen in 1926 by the sports editor of the Lansing State Journal after a contest to replace the previous nickname, the Aggies. It was chosen by George S. Allerton after he found the entry Spartans in the contest and decided it was a much better choice than the winning nickname. Alderton felt the winning nickname was too cumbersome for newspaper headlines. What was it?
Mind you saying
What
that,
was
weren't the Lions previously the Spartans?
Portsmouth? Yeah,
They were the Portsmouth
Portsmouth
Spartans a year ago,
Spartans.
so
Yeah,
they've just got a hard on for Greek classics. There you
yeah,
go. Oh, okay, then in that case, Michigan State stole it off Detroit, there or Plymouth as it was
yeah.
at the time.
So yeah, it was
Thieves.
in 1925, Michigan State College replaced the name Michigan Agricultural College. The college sponsored a contest to select the name to replace Aggies from agricultural and picked the Michigan Staters.
Ah, you learn something new every day. I mean, I have to do these for the college pod one time, do an etymology class for why all these are called what they
Ooh,
are or something
I'm
like
down.
that. That could be fun. Right, guys. If you've got anything else you want to ask before we get out of here, please do so. I will contact Matt and let him know we're kind of about at there. Hopefully I've not missed any
Oh,
questions.
fines. The fines from last week are rolling in, and we've already got one.
Oh, who's
Amon
got?
Ra was fined $11,255 for taunting last week when he rolled the ball towards the Cowboys sideline.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's as stupid as the JMO dunking one. Who cares if he dunks to a set of goalposts? Like, really? You're so petulant, NFL. Like, you are so petulant. And yet, like, acts of physical violence against our team are not punished. I don't get
You
it.
know, I know Phillips was just trying to, give Amon Ra a bit of like a attitude, like deep tissue muscle massage.
Did he get punished for that
Nope.
last year?
Nope. No, he did not.
Wow. That could have hurt Amon Ra as well, and he got absolutely nothing from it. It's that is disgusting. Who would be your choice for trade candidate? I guess we've gone through that, but just
Darius.
Zadarius Smith for Ash. For me, I would like Cole Granderson. I think that would be nice, but it just remains to be seen whether his contract is a bit of in the way or not. I did want Trey Hendrickson, but it's going to cost too much, and Brad ain't going to do that. I don't think. And besides, the Bengals have picked up recently, so I don't think they're in as much of the sale thing as before. Mike the Marine goes, Michigan history note. Then President Thomas Jefferson appointed Augustus Brevoort Woodward as first Chief Justice. Also wrote the charter for University of Michigan. Okay. We're getting a history lesson here. Like this is where this thing goes when Matt's not here. Never devolves into a history lesson when Matt's here, unless it's history of long snappers, in which case he will do that all day long. Still gonna kill me when he hears all these things. Let's see if he's finished munching on his pizza.
I'm so jealous. Like the one place in Nottingham that did the short style pizza is closed.
I've got to go to Manchester for it, and I can't go that far for it.
Yeah, and we've got a Little Caesars, but I'm right outside the delivery area for it. So the only time I can get it's when I go to my best friend's because she lives like closer to it.
And Ash gets very stressful when they don't arrive right away. The man wanted his McRib
Oh,
during the Florida
God.
State game yesterday, and it would not arrive. He was
If-
it was in between slagging off his delivery driver and Florida State. It was quite funny. It was one and then the other.
So my fault. He went for a fucking 15-minute drive around the city centre. I'm like, dude, my McFlurry's gonna melt. To the point where I then had to put it in the freezer. I forgot about it when I woke up this morning, had my breakfast. Like, I've got McFlurry in the fridge, haven't I? So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm having my breakfast because of my overnights, set the hammer bowl of cereal and eat a caramel Galaxy caramel McFlurry as well.
He was just like a Florida State receiver. He was losing track of where he was going. Bada bing! I got one eventually.
He was like the long snapper. Yeah. No, he was like the long snapper, just forgot to snap it into the he forgot his destination for the ball.
I'm surprised that punter's hand didn't break. Like, your kicker hit his hand flush. Like, that was just terrible. But
I mean, he's Australian, so he's probably like, to get into preschool, he probably had to fight 2 crocodiles barehanded and win. So, not surprised he's okay.
So Ken's taken this one in a different way. He's going, I think Levi could make good trade bait, or am I way off? Maybe the question is there anyone we can dangle out for a trade? Because everyone talks about Hendon, which ain't happening, folks. We've invested in Hendon for a good backup quarterback. We don't trade away a good backup quarterback. Do you want the laser show back? I don't. So who could hang out as trade bait then? Because you got to figure maybe guys on expiring deals, if he's healthy. I don't know how much they're going to get you, but
can't trade if he's on IR, so he's eligible to be traded, and he can't come back until after the deadline, I believe.
Can he not? Sorry. Is he not? Is
nope.
he still on his? I thought he was on IR from start of year. Surely they can open his window up now. No.
No, this is week 3 of him.
Oh yeah, they spent his time with it, didn't they? So
yeah.
Okay, who would you hang up as trade? But if you did want to get, say, Trey Hendrickson or someone, and you had to throw a player in there to entice it up, who would you throw in as trade bait? That's interesting, because I've not thought about this at all.
He's on expiring deal as well. Perfect. Craig Reynolds. We've drafted Varkey.
I've got nothing to do with that, folks. He wants to trade Netflix. That's
I mean, then it'll give more opportunities for Jamar Jefferson.
Stop playing towards it. Stop pandering towards me there. Don't do that. I'll bite on for it. So Reynolds, maybe. I wouldn't let Levi go. I think Levi's got way too much thing to, and with how injured he's been, I think you're going to get him on a friendly deal for a couple more years. I think at least a 1-year deal where you say to him, look, we'll give you some money. If you can stay healthy for a full year again, especially if he rotates out to edge and starts, doing what a good edge rusher does, and then give him his bag in 12 months or trade him then, potentially. But I won't get rid of him now.
Maybe Vildor.
Would someone take Vildor?
A corner needy team might, but let's have a look. That's the thing. I'm looking now on Spot Track. We don't have that many deals expiring this year, so it's only 15 or so. And some of them we can't So Isaiah Thomas we can't trade anyway because he's tied to our roster for the next 3 weeks.
And he's a basketball player.
You got Brandon Joseph, Nietzsche, Patrick Robinson, Houston, Awashika, Neiman, Skip, Hesse, Reynolds, Vildor, Dorsey, Levi, Carlson, Zeitler. Those all the players that will deals ended this year.
So Mike the Marine puts this one, and this is the one that's kind of been, put out there. He goes Hooker for Max with first-round picks. Now, people are saying 3 first-round picks for Max. If they turned around and said 2 first-round picks and Hooker rather than 3, would you then be tempted to do it? If the value of the first got knocked off for Hooker and you were only paying 2. This is where I guess you'd be at with trade bait here. Because the Raiders are in no man's land. If they want a guy who can start all that, I mean, I guess it doesn't make sense for the Raiders because they're going to draft someone. I don't know. But if theoretically he knocked the price down from 3 firsts to 2 firsts and maybe a third or something with it, would it entice you? enough.
A tiny bit more, but you still probably have to extend him to like you're probably still gonna
Oh
have
no,
to
no, no,
trade that.
let's
Yeah,
just like take the
yeah. No,
ramifications.
then yeah,
A
yeah,
theoretical
that
trade.
yeah,
Would that
that would entice me as this. You probably saw my eyes light up because as soon as you said that, the Lions decided to be cunts and release the elevations.
Oh,
We've
okay. Okay, we
signed
can do it.
we've signed Pat O'Connor to the active roster in a throwback to like 8 years ago, and then we've elevated Ukwu and Stain Silstra.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, who's not well in the tight ends? They're all
That's
healthy,
the
aren't
issue.
they?
Yeah.
That none of them are on the injury report. Why would we take 4 tight ends into a game? Unless this is a scheme specific thing.
Maybe, but he's like I see more as like your sort of big slot kind of Carl Pitts kind of tight end than a blocker.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is so wise. You're right. Okay. Start the
Unless
rumor
it's to
mill.
do the old what I said, well, what implied with the question where you line him up on the blitz side, and if they come, then he blocks. But if they don't, chip and release him.
Um. Okay. Do long snappers have trade value? We throw Hatton. Well, we can't
No,
throw Hatton in there because that's just got his
no,
jersey.
no,
So Grandizer goes, Raiders need O-line, which Lions backup OT or
no,
OG would you
no.
part with? None.
You
No.
do not
No.
trade. You do not trade O line.
Uh, Grandizer, we don't have any backup O-line, really. Like, we need the backup O-line we've got for us. We do not have a
Yeah,
dearth of NFL-ready backup linemen. Well, no one does, but our Sheikah is way too valuable to us.
yeah. The
And I
only
ain't giving up the... You can
yeah.
have Mahogany. I love Mahogany, but you can have Mahogany.
The only again, you have to activate him off an F5 for that to happen, which happens soon. The only team that I can argue has a backup O lineman who's worth trading for is the Giants,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
Evan Neal, who's absolutely fucking flamed out as a first round pick.
Grandizer, we're going to fall out. Don't you ever dare mention Broderick Martin's name with a trade, please.
Still on IR, you can't. He hasn't had his
Yeah.
clock activated yet, so you can't trade him.
But even in theory, Broderick's going nowhere.
No,
He's going to be our
Broderick,
next stuck guy going forward.
he's going right into that DJ Reader role next year.
Yep. Especially when them two are getting paid loads.
Ooh.
We need some friendly depth in there. Oh, no, we got another room.
Big Jezza has tweeted, no health concerns with the TE room. My only theory is that he's jumped one of the top 3 guys on the team.
So that's
which is
JMO.
No,
wait, is JMO on the practice squad still?
Mitchell, yeah.
Yeah, he's the other
So
JMO.
the top 3 guys is obviously, so we've got Laporta, Wright, and Hesse.
So they've been using Hesse as a fullback a lot, haven't they? Maybe they
Yes.
feel the requirement for a fullback is not there in this one because that would that would diminish his role. Like when we've been playing fullback, and I guess that makes sense. If we're going to run the ball really well, we don't need a fullback in this one to do it. We're going to need to stretch that secondary a bit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I reckon Hesse might be ineligible then. Is the theory. That makes sense.
No wanted offense. Oh, for God's sake.
Martin is not on forever IR. He's just got a minor injury.
He was one of the ones that was designated to return. He's just not ready.
Yeah, he
yet.
says his window's open, so he's going to be back soon.
So yeah, with Hesse, of his 59 snaps so far this season on offense, 33 have come in the backfield, 14 in line, 4 in the slot, 7 out wide, and then 1 on punt coverage.
That's basically over half his reps in the backfield.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this might be a Varkey. This could be a Varkey game. If they feel Varkey's going to be a guy in there, maybe to steal. I know I've seen Varkey's name going through the YouTube comments this evening. People seem to be... TJ says Skip is a buy. Do not talk about trading Skip. Like, Skip's going to be someone who's here till he retires. He's just a cultural icon at this point. As much as once upon a time I would have done that, you can't now. He's a cultural icon.
I mean, he is according to BFF, he is our worst offensive player, and it's not close. It's like 15 grade points.
Hey, he looks sick lining up at receiver. I totally believed in him.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the trick play this week. Skipper actually gets a target lining up as a wide receiver. in the red zone.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
doesn't
yeah. I've sold myself on this
he
now.
doesn't have the worst receiving grade on the team.
No, the Equanimus isn't here. Oh God, no. I don't even. I'm not even going to try and
Hess
guess. Hess, yeah,
is the
doesn't it?
worst with 51.7, Skips 52.6. The third is
Um.
Tom Kennedy. Jalen
Oh.
Kayla Decker has got a better like receiving grade from PFF than Tom Kennedy does.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I should have got that one
And
the other week. I was so
who
gutted when he dropped
who
that one.
who are the top? So there's two players who've both got the best receiving grade on the team. Who are they?
Oh, don't do this. This is gonna be people who are completely off script here. Like, who are the most random people who've caught a catch this year? I
So one has been on the field. One has been on a pass like a receiver for one snap. The other for six.
Oh, what? So Skip's up there then? Is Skip up
No,
there as one?
Skip is the second lowest.
Who? Goff. Goff's got a
No,
reception. What? He's
Goff
literally got
is
one
Goff is
reception for a
12th.
touchdown. He's
Goff
got
is
what?
12th.
He's got one reception for a touchdown. How do you not?
Goff is 12th.
No, I'm not getting it. I don't know. Who would they be?
Penne and
Yeah.
Varkey. Both
And
have
then
got
Parky.
83.9 passing grades.
No, Carlton said Goff. I thought we were gonna get to be there.
No,
So,
Goff
but
is
no.
59.2, so he's got a below average receiving grade despite catching a touchdown.
Yes, indeed. Grandizer, there are a lot of Lions content creators out there who say a lot of things. Some we agree with, some we don't agree with. But when it comes to Broderick, they are incorrect in this case, I would say. Um, Run DMG says, would you do 2 first-round picks and a third and Houston for Max? Similar to what the
Yes,
Rams gave us for Goff. Oh, sorry. Rams gave us
we
for
get.
Stafford, not for Goff.
Yeah.
All right, I should do that trade. Me,
Why?
I think that letting Houston go, I don't know. I feel like he's going to go somewhere and be an absolute menace, and we're going to regret it. But I don't know. Right, I think that is just about. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest there? Because I'm missing a lot of college ball now. Michigan are losing to Illinois, and I need to watch Michigan lose, and Tennessee Bama's going on. I've got a show to do during the week, although probably Miami's going to headline that now unless something else crazy happens. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? Because I know Matt is around.
Nah, other than how the hell did Brady Cook go for an MRI, then come back and win the game for Mizzou?
Oh, they've got an MRI on site, a lot of teams, don't they? They can rush them in, do one, come back out. Did they lose? I swear
Mizzou
Brent
won.
said, I swear Brent said Auburn won. Oh, that must have been a crazy end to the game there or something.
Mizzou won 21-17. They scored 15 points in the fourth quarter.
Grandizer, I'm going to level with you. None of us know how to sing the Gridiron Fight song, so yeah,
That is true.
we can't do that. Maybe we'll learn. Maybe make it a redeem thing on Twitch. Make enough redeem points on Twitch, and we'll do it. Or one of us will do it. But I actually don't know, so we'll have
Of
to.
course it did.
I'm pretty sure Ryan Farden does. But next time Ryan's on, we'll get him to do the fight song there. Appreciate you all again. Yeah, it's been a little bit different this week because Matt is still unwell. Hopefully, he will be back tomorrow to do the play-by-play with Ash for the game. If he's not, the plan is Ash is going to do it on his own for a bit, and then I'll come in and join him when I'm done at work because I'm going to miss the first half due to work. But there will be a play-by-play tomorrow, so come in and join that, whether it be Matt and Ash or Ash and me. I mean, who knows? Join in for that. We'll have some, the mystery and all. But yeah, we will be filming that tomorrow, and then we will probably be back Monday if he's still well enough, because I think he's planning on taking Monday off. Maybe me and Ash will come back and do a review show on Monday to hopefully recap us absolutely thwacking the Vikings, which I'm hoping that we do. And then me and Ryan will be back with the college show midweek next week, talking about a lot of good college ball, which I'm missing out on, so I'm going to go and watch. So that's it for next shows. Obviously, if you want to find us, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. Just type it in anyway, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. You will find us. Obviously, if you can, hit that like, subscribe button, all that good stuff. Help us out with the algorithm and all. Appreciate all of you who've been here with us this evening, especially as it's been me in here doing this. I'm not as good at maths, so I apologize. But I appreciate you being in here with me, Ash. Been good fun. Hopefully, we get to witness a monumental win tomorrow, put the Vikings back in the place and take the NFC North crown back once more, because it is ours and ours alone. Thank you to everyone who's joined. Have a lovely Saturday evening. Enjoy Michigan getting absolutely trashed by Illinois, and we shall see you tomorrow. One pride.
One for
Recording stopped.